Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call the regular meeting of the Del Mar College Board of Regents to order at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, December 10th. Thank you all for being here today, and happy holidays to everyone. We're going to call roll to establish a quorum. Dr. Babley? Here. Regent Loeb? Here. Regent Garza? Here. Dr. Adami? Here. Regent Kelly?
Here.
Regent Krull? Here. I'm Carol Scott. We have a quorum and can conduct business. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Mr. Garza, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please join us as we read our Del Mar College vision statement. Del Mar College empowers our communities to achieve their dreams. Del Mar College is streaming live audio and video from our official Board of Regents meetings on the college's website in real time, with exception of portions of the meeting considered closed session by statute. At the start of our meeting, we always have an opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone here to provide public comment on items not on our agenda today? Seeing none, we will go right into the biennial work of the board on its reorganization. And we have the privilege of swearing in 3 of our regents for their new terms as regent members. And congratulations to Dr. Babley, to Mr. Garza, and to Mr. Kelly for running unopposed at the most recent election and saving the college $175,000 so that we could put that money back into the operations of the college. But we do still have to do the formal swearing in. So at this point in time, I'm turning it over to Jessica, to Judge Klein. Who am I turning it over to? We're going to turn it up to Judge Klein. Judge Klein is here. I didn't know if there was any process stuff. We do know that we're going to call you to the front and ask you to do your swearing in. So gentlemen, would you mind going to the front with Judge Klein? And then there is some paperwork for you to fill out. Judge Anna Klein, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you being here.
Allow me to do this. I apologize for turning my back. All right. If you could all please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Rudy Garza,
Bill Kelly,
do solemnly swear
or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
the
duties of the office of Regent of the Del Mar College District
of Regent of the Del Mar College District
of the State of Texas
of the State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Congratulations. You'd like to sign, and then I will sign. You have a pen?
No, thank you.
Thanks. Whoops. Thank you again for being here, Judge. We appreciate it very much. And our, oh, little swag bag, there we go.
I apologize for leaving early, but.
You got customers waiting?
Yeah, I got customers.
Well, thank you for joining us and for taking time away from the court to do this. We really appreciate it. So, gentlemen, we do offer an opportunity for you to say any words of thanks or any words as a newly reinstalled regent. Mr. Kelly, would you like to start?
You know, when the Board of Regents first appointed me to fill the open term, I applied for that in part because of the people I would get to serve with, and I have not been disappointed. It's a privilege and an honor to serve with each and every one of you. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 years.
Yeah, it's a great privilege to serve our constituents on this Regency of Del Mar College. It's a great privilege. Last year, I applied and I was appointed by you all for a one-year term and got reelected on November 5th, which I was very, very privileged and honored to be elected and to serve in this capacity. And as you know, I stepped out year before from Texas A&M University, and I was looking to serve in another capacity in higher education. And my heart always was in affording access and affordability of higher education for all sections of our society. And so this gave me a great chance to serve in that capacity. So I want to thank all of you for this honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, let me say I wouldn't be able to serve if it wasn't for the fact that the good Lord has blessed me and put me in a position to be able to do so. And of course, the support that I get from my wife and my family, my wife Melinda out in the audience, I appreciate allowing me to be able to serve and take time away from the family to be able to do the things I love to do. When I first was applying and I discussing possibility of serving, the question came up is, will you be interested in running for re-election if you get appointed to the position? And at that time I was thinking, geez, I'm 66 years old. I'm going to be 70 by the time I finish serving in the appointed role. I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to want to do at 70 years old, but here I am. I've been so encouraged by the professionalism and by the contributions that the staff, Dr. Escamilla, and all the executive team make to making it possible for the students that, particularly those that come from an economically disadvantaged background, to be able to attain some credential and some education that they're going to need to be able to change their lives. And so again, I've found the experience extremely rewarding. I am encouraged by what we're planning to do going forward in the future, and I'm just encouraged by the open-mindedness that we have of our staff and being able to serve our students. And again, Dr. Escamilla, to your credit, and Carol, to your involvement and the boards and the committees at the state level, it's allowed us to be able to do a lot of great things. And so again, thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this team. I appreciate it sincerely.
Thank you, and thank you again. Congratulations, gentlemen, and let's keep on chugging, right? Let's keep on working. The board now has an opportunity to reorganize itself with the election of officers, and so we will go through each of these individually: chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, and secretary. Do we have any nominations for chair of the board?
I make a motion that Carol Scott remain as the chair.
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? With no further nominations, then we'll...
I make a motion that we approve by acclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Is there a second to that motion by acclamation? Second
Yep.
by Mr. Kelly. Any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Thank you. Thank you all very much for your confidence. For first vice chair, do we have a motion for the position of first vice chair?
Would nominate Nick Adami.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Second.
There's a second to that. Are there any other nominations for first vice chair? Seeing none, move to by acclamation, Mr. Kelly.
Absolutely.
Is there a second to that?
Yes,
Second.
a second.
Thank you, Dr. Babley. Is there any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Dr. Nick Adami to be selected as our first vice chair or remain as our first vice chair, please raise your hand. That motion passes. There is an opportunity for second vice chair. Are there any nominations for second vice chair?
Well, she's not here, but I'll nominate Libby Averitt.
That's what happens sometimes.
You miss a meeting.
So there's a second by Mr. Loeb for the nomination of Libby Averitt as our second vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, is there a motion by acclamation?
So moved.
So moved.
Mr. Kelly, second by Dr. Babley. Any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of Libby Averitt as our second vice chair, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. And position of secretary. Is there a motion for secretary? Mr. Garza is currently serving.
Nominate Mr. Garza.
Mr. Garza
Yeah.
to continue in that
I
position
second
as
it.
well. Thank you,
I
Dr.
second.
Babley, second to that. Any other nominations? Seeing none, is there a motion by acclamation? Mr. Loeb, Dr.
Second
Babley?
it.
Yes. Any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Mr. Garza to remain as secretary, please raise your hand. That motion passes. So your executive committee will remain as is today. Thank you all again for your vote of confidence. Sorry, Dr. Escamilla, you have to work with the same executive committee one more round.
Keep on chugging.
Thank you all very much. And with that work of the board out of the way, we will continue on what is always a highlight of our meeting. And we have a number of recognitions today. So as we begin that, we're going to call Mr. Raul Garcia up to give us information on the Government Finance Officers Association Awards. Mr. Garcia.
So thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. President, members of the board. I'm going to ask my team to come up to the podium in recognition of this accolade. So I want to thank Dr. West, Jackie Landrum, Christina Gonzalez, Jeff Olson, and Tanya Schumer, and their respective team members for their close collaboration in preparing the popular annual financial report. Also, a big congratulations to the team for earning the GFOA's award for outstanding achievement in popular annual financial report for fiscal year 2023. The college has earned this prestigious award since 2010. The team believes that the college will continue this tradition of excellence in financial reporting with this year's annual comprehensive financial report. Mr. Adam Miller from Collier, Johnson & Woods will present this report later during the board meeting. So thank you, team. Any words?
For providing a copy for all of us, and for any member of the public who would like to see this, it's online, as well as you can call the college and get a copy of it if you would like to. The fact that we've gotten this 10 years running is really, not 10 years running, 6 years running, but since 2010, is a tribute to the team of both College Relations and your team, Mr. Garcia, so congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Olson is going to tell us about some National Council for Marketing and Public Relations awards.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, behind everybody in this room, there's an amazing team that's really doing all the hard stuff. And to recognize just a few of those amazing Vikings, I'm going to invite their supervisor up here, Mr. Jason Houlihan, Executive Director of Marketing and Events. Jason, would you join me? Jason has taken his department to new heights. Really, they're all very talented people. They're no strangers to winning awards, but I've watched them go from, hey, we won an award, to, hey, what award are we going to strive to win next year, and how is that going to benefit the college? And that's exactly the kind of attitude that we really celebrate at Del Mar College. So thank you, Jason, for that, and I want to turn it over to you to recognize your team.
I want to keep it really brief, but Jessie Krobozinski is one of the people, and she couldn't be here today due to a death in the family, but I want to congratulate her. But I also want to bring up Tanya Shoemaker again. The POFR has yet again won. I know double up on the POFR awards today, but the POFR is one of them. And then the card and invitations we sent out last year, I think it was actually the holiday cards we sent out in 2023 that got an award. And also, you guys already saw the shoe rating video. Will there be a sequel? Absolutely. There will be a sequel to the shoe rating video. The Board of Regents meeting could be over right now. But thank you guys so much. I'm really privileged, like Jeff said, to work with so many incredible people. That's what makes this team so successful. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jason. Congratulations. The creativity that you and your team show are just amazing, and it's not just creativity for creativity's sake, but creativity to enhance the image of Del Mar College, so we appreciate that. Dr. Halcomb is going to come forward and let us know about an excellent award from our annual State of Tourism event here in Corpus Christi.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Regents, Dr. Escamilla. Professor Lisa Polakis, who serves as the college's Hospitality Management Program Director, received one of the year's 3 awards of excellence at the 2024 State of the Tourism Gala and Hospitality Awards ceremony held at the American Bank Center on November 21st of this year. The American Bank Center hosted the gala and awards ceremony to honor and to celebrate individuals who impact the community through Corpus Christi tourism. The event, which was held in conjunction with the Visit Corpus Christi annual meeting, was a celebration that highlighted excellence in the city's tourism and hospitality industry. Ms. Polakis accepted the Leadership Award bestowed to Del Mar College Hospitality Management Program. Under her leadership, Ms. Polakis has been at the helm in enhancing and showcasing the college's hospitality management program. She is instrumental and is a mentor to her students in fulfilling their academic preparation. Ms. Polakis continues to forge pathways for her students in their academic preparation. I want to add a little personal note about Lisa. Her son, Anthony Polakis, also attended the gala, and he graduated from here in 2014, earning an Associate of Applied Science in Hospitality Management. And then he transferred to the University of Houston, where he got his BS in Hotel and Restaurant Management. And it's a real family affair because her husband, also, George Polakis, graduated from Del Mar College in 1986 with an Associate of Applied Science in Restaurant Management. So I think you can see this is a true family affair. Their contributions to the community for restaurant management are tremendous. And I'd like to call Lisa up and have you join me in congratulating her in the Hospitality Management Program. Lisa?
Here it is. Thank you very much. It was truly an honor to accept this on behalf of our program. We were the first hospitality management program in the state of Texas, and we celebrated the 60th anniversary of our first graduates. So I accept this on behalf of all my predecessors, all of our faculty, former students, alumni, and staff that have made this program so successful. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you. We appreciate you mentioning the history of the program here, because I think that's very important and one of the reasons, one of the many things that Del Mar College is proud of in the community and across the state and nation. So congratulations again. Dr. Halcomb?
Thank you. Melissa Steve, Chair of the Public Service Department, also Associate Professor. She's also a Program Co-Director of the Emergency Medical Services Program, was appointed as a member of the Emergency Medical Services Education Committee for a 3-year term. The EMS Education Committee is overseen by the Governor's Emergency Medical Services and Trauma Advisory Council. I'm just going to call it GTAC. I don't know if they call it that, but I'm going to call it GTAC. It's a little bit easier. And the committee's purpose is to advise GTAC on EMS education and practices. GTAC's role is to advise and make recommendations on developing and implementing Texas emergency healthcare system rules. Melissa's been very active nationally and statewide in promoting education in the field of EMS. So she's been an integral member and contributor, big time, during her tenure here at the college. I'd like to ask Melissa to come forward, and I'd like to have you join me in congratulating Melissa Steve on her accomplishment.
Well, thank you for that, Dr. Holcomb. I just want to thank everybody for supporting us. My whole goal for EMS and Del Mar College is to make us one that shines throughout the state and one throughout the nation. So I'm always quick to volunteer for new things. But I just want to thank the administration, thank the board for always supporting what we do.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And lastly, Rita Hernandez is actually going to do our next presentation.
All right. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board of Regents, and Dr. Escamilla. On behalf of Vice President Dr. Dominguez, I'm honored to announce that AVP Sanders, Cheryl Sanders of Student Affairs, has been selected to participate in the American Association of Colleges and Universities' new Leadership Academy. This 6-month online and in-person Leadership Academy will focus on fellows development for recognizing the challenges of meeting leadership responsibilities in today's U.S. colleges and universities, acquiring sophistication in re-envisioning values and institutional imperatives that translate into dynamic, focus-driven strategies for higher education organizations, gaining specialized knowledge necessary to provide highly effective leadership within and outside complex institutional settings. This program will provide fellows the opportunity to interact with distinguished faculty, leaders, administrators, and policymakers. AVP Sanders begins participating in this Leadership Academy in January 2025 and culminates with a 5-day summer institute in June of 2025. AVP Sanders is an exceptional leader and mentor. Those of us who have served under her are incredibly proud of her commitment to continuous growth and development. Congratulations, AVP Sanders.
Thank you so much, Dean Hernandez. Thank you. I'm very excited to have been selected to participate in this program, and I just want to thank the board and the administration for always supporting, promoting professional growth and development of the faculty and staff here at Del Mar, and I look forward to bringing back everything that I learned. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all for bringing those outstanding recognitions forward for us. And we'll now move on to our College President's Report. Dr. Escamilla.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to be here and share with you some updates on what's been going on in my office. I'd like to begin by making more of a formal introduction to a newer team member who's really come on board after a short stint of retirement. Conrado Garcia has joined our team after serving in public ed. You can at least stand or come to the front, Conrado, because I want everybody to see you. He's my walking billboard for superintendents these days in K through 12 initiatives and so forth. But Conrado is serving and working with me as one of my team members to really enhance and bolster the relationships with our superintendents never before. Why him? Well, because he was one. He was a superintendent for 8 years at West Oso and public ed for just a few more years than that. Well, I'll use a number because it's so powerful. It's over 45 years of public ed experience and so forth. And I want everyone to know that he's really quickly begun blending in with our team and reaching out and having conversations that heretofore have been just been elevated as a result of his affiliations. It's been a remarkable, quick impact to the team. The attention that's being derived as a result is really, really complimentary of the great work that Dr. Leonard Rivera and Dr. Jonda and others are doing. Again, he comes from that world, and he is representing Del Mar College proudly out there in a phenomenal way. And I worked so closely with them. I have been working closely with them from day one. And then just like what I think, as I thought about this on my ride home from Austin last night, I said, what am I going to say that would really stick out about Conrado? I said, he fits right in because he has the fire that my team has. He has the fire for students, the desire, and does not quit. And I'm like, Conrado, quit calling me on Saturday morning. I want to sleep a little bit. No, I'm just kidding, sort of. No, he has fire for students and families like not many other people do, but like the ones that are on our team. And that's what I love so much about the fit. So I just had to say that, my friend, my colleague, I'm so proud to have you part of our team. And everybody, Conrado Garcia. The next introduction is going to be in absentia because our new Commissioner of Higher Education will be serving as the 7th Commissioner of Higher Education in Texas. His name is Dr. Win Rosser. I've met him a couple times over the years. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that. He has taken the place of he has big shoes to fill, but he is very, very capable of filling the shoes of Harrison Keller, who's just moved on as president at the university, or chancellor, I think, of the University of North Texas system, or at least the president. I forget. I apologize. But anyway, he's moved on to a presidency and so forth. But Dr. Win Rosser is served as the CEO of the Temple Foundation, as well as the Chief Executive Officer of the Greatest Texas Foundation. So he has not only a higher ed background, but he has a philanthropy background, who goes hand in hand, and I know Matthew knows of him from that realm and so forth, and hails from the greater East Texas region. He's a proud East Texan. And ladies and gentlemen, what I am so proud to say about our new Commissioner of Higher Ed is he is a graduate of Kilgore College, the Texas Community College, and came by way of the 2-year school from East Texas, from what I understand, for some fairly humble means, and moved up into the A&M system, both in teaching and administration and so forth. And anyway, he will be serving, and again, as our 7th Commissioner of Higher Ed. We look forward to working with him, certainly through TAC and CAT and other organizations and so forth. Hopefully we can get him down here to this region of Texas. I'm sure at some point he will be coming by. But just wanted to put that commercial out there that we now have a new commissioner in place just in time for the next legislative session. So good for him, and we'll look forward to working with him. Moving on, just wanted to mention that on November 20th we had the West Oso ISD State of the District held at our campus at the Rotama Room. It was a packed house. The West Oso team and others came in force, and I want to thank all those who were able to attend to support those beautiful kids that they brought, and Superintendent Kim Moore, as well as her board of trustees, as well as that new board, Beverly Cage, who's a member of our team, serving on their board of the foundation board, their newly formed foundation board, raised $40,000. For that foundation to get them kicked off and so forth. And it was a beautiful event. And again, I just wanted to share that with you and thank all those who were able to attend. This past weekend and currently, rather, I should say, is the SACS COC, Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, Commission on Colleges conference. The regional conference is being held in Austin. I was able to go yesterday for the day. To go and take part in some meetings with other CEOs from around the region, both universities and colleges, as well as, and primarily to meet with our new Vice President and Liaison for SACS, Dr. Ray Marr. And Dr. Marr and I spent some time. I went to his presentation yesterday and afterwards, before I headed back and beat feet back to Corpus Christi, was that we're able to sit down and introduce one another to one another, It was a great meeting, and I look forward to engaging him. Those relationships are extremely important, and we've gone through, I've gone through two decennial reports as well as one 5-year report. I explained to him, how well this college has performed, and he was sitting there saying, he goes, I've never heard of a college only getting one mark on the first iteration. I said, well, that's what we did. So team, no pressure there. We got to continue to do as well or better. I don't know how you can do much better, but he was very, very impressed with the upshot of where we come from and our experience and so forth. It was a great meeting. Finally, on December 13th, that'd be this Friday, right? Will be the fall commencement. As we know, that will be a packed house. Our keynote speaker will be Dr. Robert Vela, president of Texas A&M University, Kingsville. Go Hoggies. He will be coming out with team and force. I've told him, bring anybody and everybody you want, just like a good old-fashioned backyard barbecue. But no, nevertheless, he's going to be coming with some teams and all kinds of incentives, shall I say, for our graduates. So it'll be fun to see. Well, speaking of graduates, we're talking. This fall commencement will have a total of 784 completers that are eligible to walk the stage, of which 526 will be walking. That's going to be a big bunch, ladies and gentlemen, and it's all but to capacity when that number of students walk across the stage and bring up to, I think it's unlimited now for a number of family members they can bring, so it's going to be a packed house. And my phone is ringing. My son is calling me. I apologize for that. And so it's going to be a great time at graduation. And we look forward to filling the American Bank Center, hosting our friends and family from your alma mater, A&M Kingsville, and having a great time. That concludes my reports. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Escamilla. A lot of good things happening in the world of higher education, and please give Dr. Vela my regards. Dr. Adami is going to be there and be our official host. I've got to be out of town on Friday, and so I'm sorry to miss. Any questions for Dr. Escamilla? Seeing none, we'll move on to Regents' report, and I wanted to take this opportunity to announce that Dr. Babbly was appointed to a committee at ACCT. He is going to serve on the Finance and Audit Committee. So he will be a part of their in-person and virtual meetings over the next year, looking over the budget and all of the investments and other things for ACCT. So thank you, Dr. Babbly, for your willingness to take on that additional role. As you recall, he is also serving on the Partnership Consortium for the India-U.S. relations, and he is keeping Dr. Escamilla and I apprised of that work. There will be virtual work and some work that he's going to be doing while he's traveling to India, and then there will be another face-to-face meeting of that group this summer in Washington, D.C. So Dr. Babbly is helping me out on the national front, and I really, really appreciate that. So congratulations for that appointment, sir. Moving on to our staff reports, we're going to start with our annual foundation update. And we're going to ask Matthew Busby to come up and give us some good words on what the foundation is doing. And I don't know if we have any foundation board members in attendance with you today.
All righty. Thank you so much. No, unfortunately, our foundation board president would love to be here. She is in Rome with her husband and having a ball of a time. So
well, good for her.
Can't make it. Anyway. We're here, she's in Rome. So thank you again. I want to make this brief as I can, but I do want to share some fun information with the Board of Regents and anyone watching or here with us today. So the first is to run through it real quickly. Del Mar College Foundation was established in 1983, so we're 41 years old. And we're a separate 501c3 foundation, right, a nonprofit entity that's tied intimately with the college via an MOU. 100% of our mission, of our vision, of our entire purpose is to serve the people and the programs of Del Mar College. We don't take a cut, we don't take a percentage. 100% is pretty much a pass-through. It's a phenomenal relationship that's unrivaled in terms of any other nonprofit. If Regent Averitt was here, she would totally be a testimony to that. Many nonprofits, from churches to synagogues to you name it, to United Way, take operating costs. The college follows the Texas Community College model, along with the other 1,000+ community colleges in the country, and that the college absorbs most of the operating costs for the nonprofit entity as a division, right? So we offer our donors the ability to make a gift that goes 10 times farther. So there's 3 components I want to point out just quickly. The foundation is a separate entity governed by this group of people right here. A lot of folks there. This is our foundation board of directors. This is an independent group that has a fiduciary responsibility for 3 purposes: to help raise funds, to help manage and invest funds, and then to help expend funds for the purpose of supporting the people and programs of Del Mar College. The second thing is, as a college division, we have a division here of development and donor advising that serves at the president's call to serve the people and programs as well. And then we have our people, and this is what I put on the screen right here. Normally, these folks would be in the room. They really want to stay engaged with the college. And so I'm going to keep moving forward to a foundation snapshot. I've changed it up a little bit this year to give you a little bit less and a little bit more, but just a little bit different, hopefully to give you an understanding of what we do and how we do it. The first is our fiscal year is slightly different than the college's fiscal year. So recently completed fiscal years for 23-24 is that fundraising, we hit about $2.8 million. And scholarships, we awarded $2.3 million to about 1157 students. This was a record in our recently completed fiscal year over the prior record of 1.99. Man, I was wishing we could bump it up, but it was $1.99 million. And last fiscal year, we achieved 2.3, which is a record. And so we celebrated that even as we strove for better. Our net assets were about $35 million. So we approximate the effectiveness of community college foundations on 3 KPIs: the fundraising, contributions, and grants. This does not include any federal or state funds. This is all private funds by people, companies, and foundations. And then obviously the output, which is your scholarships, and our primary scholarships is our output, and then our net assets. And so we're going to look at those 3 components as we move forward. When we look at 10 years, it's pretty impressive, I think, especially when we get to the next slide about all 50 Texas community colleges. Fundraising over the last 10 fiscal years has hit nearly $47 million. Scholarships, we have awarded cash out of the bank account and into our students' hands nearly $17 million to nearly 13,000 students. Only scholarships. Grants and other awards is about $12 million. This would be for equipment, for software, for emergency aid, for anything else like that. And our assets have grown from $18 to $35 million. I did want to just pause quickly on this because even though he's my boss, and I really am very candid, and he knows this, everyone knows this is attributed to I'd say 3 things. It goes back to that slide. The first is the people who volunteer their time, their credibility, which is our foundation board of directors. The second is our president and CEO. And not just the president CEO, but the investment of that person and the Board of Regents into this college division. There's 50 Texas community colleges. And as you'll see, some have 0 across the board. Some are a little outperforming us. They have a few decades on us. But we are by and large top 10, if not more than many of them. And that's the investment over these last 10 plus years. Single-handedly, that's what I see. So kudos to the president and also to this Board of Regents for the investment. So I'm not going to look at all these numbers, but this is an asset growth chart from 2010 to 2024. You can see where we've come from. And if we just peeled the layers back even 5 more years, Dr. Escamilla would know this, it was much less than that. All right, but I didn't want to overwhelm you with numbers and stats. Funds raised over the last 10 years for fiscal years. Once again, you can see our averages. There's an up and down, and that is a natural cyclical cycle for giving, also for people changes. We see that people give to people, and so as staff changes, we do experience some flux. So scholarship awarded. This is where my goal and our goal of our foundation board is that we grow and sustain. So here's what you're going to see. You're going to see down at the bottom, 631,000, right? We grew it, we leveled off, or grew it, we leveled off. We've had this grow it and level off to where we're consistently growing up our $2.3 million, right? 10 years ago, it was 631,000. If we peeled it back, it'd be much less than that. So here's where I wanted to follow the footprints of my peers in terms of looking, for your sake, of how do we rank against other community colleges. We've never done this before for you guys. I've spent hours peering into every 990s. 10990s I've looked at, and there's 3 sets just very quickly. The first is the coordinating board, for better or for worse, ranks us as a large community college. All right, and so these are our peers, per the co-board. And then I want to peel back and say large and very large college peers. And how do we rank in terms of the 3 things? Net assets. For our peers, the large, we're 3rd out of 8. Okay, we tied for 7th of 17 when we combine large and very large. That's throwing us up against Lone Star, Houston, Dallas, Alamo, all of those. And when I looked at all 50 Texas community colleges, we are tied for 10th place in terms of net assets of all 50 Texas community colleges. That is this last fiscal year, right? Things have changed. When we look at fundraising, this is, once again, not federal, not state. This is all private philanthropy from ExxonMobil, GCGV, from individuals, right? Here's where we rank. 3rd of our large Texas peer community college foundations, 7th when you combine large and very large, and when I looked at all 50, we rank 8th. 8 out of 50 is where we're looking at in terms of the performance of our fundraising operations. We want to do better, but that's still pretty impressive, I think. Scholarships awarded. This, to me, is one of the most important things. This is the purpose of why we're here, to help our students. We rank 3rd out of 8 of our peers, 7th out of 17, large and very large combined, and then 7th out of 50 Texas community colleges. In terms of the total, we beat Dallas. We beat Dallas College District in terms of how many scholarships we awarded in that fiscal year. To me, that's pretty darn impressive and something to be proud of. So real quick, because we do get questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, all that jazz, but here's what the foundation's focus is on: meaningful and significant philanthropy. We need to raise meaningful and significant gifts so we can give meaningful and significant gifts. We don't define that because it's different for each entity. 3 S words that sound like a pastor, but strategic, systemic, and sustainable, right? You see that grow, plateau, grow, and plateau. To be sustainable as an operation, as a foundation, to not be person-dependent, but to maintain meeting the needs of the college, right? We did make a shift a few years ago, and I give a huge credence to Gabe Guerra, our foundation board president, the entire board, and to Dr. Escamilla. We presented a business case analysis that said, let's change the way that we approach our fundraising business to do more and do better. And they fully bought into it. And we've been able to perform based upon that. So we've changed from event-based to donor advising model. We serve our donors and our prospective donors to meet their needs in alignment with the mission, the needs, and opportunities at Del Mar College. And that is how we're serving more students and serving more donors in more and more meaningful ways. We do that by listening, by sharing the Del Mar College story, and by building relationships. It's just that simple. Here's something that many folks might have gotten. We're focusing on the donor experience, because when I can promise that we're going to deliver and then we do consistently deliver as a college and foundation, investment continues. Most folks give a first gift, it's a test gift. We've had that be $1. We've had that be $1,000, or you name it. It's usually a test gift. How do you perform as a college and a foundation? This is one way that we perform, where we report in full transparency what the foundation is doing and how we're doing it. And then we dive into, and I splashed on the screen, Mr. Bellini's endowed scholarship. What's my fund balance? How much did I give? What's the investment activity or the performance of that for our sophisticated donors who want to know, how are you managing my assets? And then how are you making a difference in people's lives? Every student who submits a scholarship gets to exercise gratitude by sharing a short, formal thank you note to their donors, and those make a difference, and we send that in the spring. Sharing the story, I'm not going to go over this. I included some information just for your benefit that you can utilize this presentation later, but this is some information we share as part of our stories that motivate and inspire donors to give. Copied this idea from Amarillo College of sharing the story of who our student is, and we named her Sophia. At Amarillo, it's Maria, because we've profiled who that typical student is. There's plenty of students here, but this is who many of our students look like. The DMC student challenges. Our foundation board and donors want to know, how can we best serve our students? And this is one way that we look at it. We're very candid and real. We present data, and we provide them opportunities to support. I'm not going to go over all these pieces, but this was the launch pin for our student emergency aid program. which we've done a lot with there. So on that note, primarily we do scholarships, but we've also been doing student emergency at a growing rate. This last fiscal year, we've awarded $125,000 approximately, and cumulatively over the last 5 years, we've given almost $750,000. That's cash out. That's all money that was privately given, no HERF funds, no federal state funds. This is an investment into students that want to give them over a hurdle. And so it's been successful. Do scholarships work? We like to be very candid, and we promise that we want to deliver. People give millions of dollars to us, and they expect to see results, as any business person or investor would. So Sushil and Lenora's team did an amazing partnership where we said, tell me the truth, lay it out there, let's look at it. Do scholarships work qualitatively and quantitatively? The answer was overwhelmingly yes. The stories we get back is it means something to them. It inspires them to do well, more than even an entitlement funding like Pell does, because this isn't entitlement funding. There's a story behind that. The data shows that they complete their programs. They graduate at exponential rates, whether they get Pell Grant or whether they get nothing else but scholarships. And we share this information with our donors. One donor came up to Dr. Escamilla and Lenora and others, and he's given substantially. They've given a good amount of money to 5 different entities, and they said Del Mar delivers. Del Mar delivers at every level. When they hear Regent Scott on that platform, or President Escamilla, or when they look at the foundation board and team, we deliver. And so in their words, we're going to stop funding the other universities, the other community colleges across the country. We're going to direct the remaining funds that we have into Del Mar because y'all deliver. And we experience that when we come to the scholarship dinner. Speaking of that, we had a record 530 people come and had a great experience being able to realize the meaningful impact of their work, that you're touching someone's life and you get to meet that person, and maybe their spouse, maybe their kids. Current fundraising, you never want to jinx yourself, but we are looking at our current fiscal year at setting a historic record. I wouldn't be shocked if we exceeded $5 million. And that would be an awesome thing and a testament, once again, to the people on this dais, to our foundation board of directors, and really to the entire college. A couple other things to note. Current scholarships and awards. Dr. Escamilla announced that we had hit a new record at the scholarship dinner at $2.5 million awarded, and he was correct at that time. He's not correct at this time. We have exceeded $2.7 million in scholarships awarded for this current fiscal year, and we're not done yet. When a donor asked me, Matthew, if I gave you $200,000, could you award it to students who need it? I didn't even blink, and I said, absolutely. And one thing that I know resonates with some folks is we had 3,300 students apply for scholarships. We emailed 2,000 students and said, I'm sorry, Mark, we're out of money. You need it, you deserve it, I get it, we believe in you, but we're out of scholarship funds. So when a donor comes up and tells me, could you help more? I say unequivocally, give me the money. As soon as it hits the bank, I'll inform a student, take back that email, we can help you today. And that's what we're doing. The last thing is a gift announcement. I wanted to share just briefly about Drs. Joyce and Janice Freeman. Just a few years ago, quite a few years ago actually, they were identical twins and children of a Del Mar College employee, George Freeman, who started the LVN program, and he was here at Del Mar College for 45 years and also started the purchasing and property accounting department. Well, they took classes because their daddy worked here, and they were twins. They were heavily involved in pretty much every single thing at Del Mar College. Many, many years ago. They graduated. They were marked as outstanding graduates and elected to the Hall of Fame. They went on to get their PhDs together, and they became tenured and lifelong retirees and instructors at TAMU-CC. But their heart was always at Del Mar College. They were Del Mar College Foundation trustees, and in their will, they left $1.5 million plus to Del Mar College. Last week, Lenora Keys and Dr. Escamilla were able to represent the college and the foundation. Thank you. I was out of town when the executors came by with the check. That is a testament to the lifelong impact of Del Mar College and their confidence and belief in the leadership, the board, the college, the programs, the faculty, and the students. That's going to make a powerful difference in 3 scholarships for nursing, biological sciences, and early learning. It's just going to make it, it's an endowed scholarship, and for the rest of forever, it's going to help in a powerful way. So that being said, I'm not going to show this video, but I included the link. So in your spare time, feel free to click through it if you haven't seen it already. It's our scholarship dinner video. I think it's a pretty phenomenal story, but it's just a reminder that everything we do at the foundation is about empowering people to achieve success and improve their lives, for the donors, for the students, and then we also serve the faculty, the staff, and the program. That's the center of the foundation. Are there any questions?
I don't have questions, Matthew, but I do want to applaud the strategic work of the foundation staff and the foundation board and Dr. Escamilla. You all are providing such a valuable service and in such a successful and not unique way, but obviously a successful and outstanding operation. And so thank you for what you do. It's really incredible. And when I think about the connection between the strategic path of the board and the college, the excellent teaching, our student needs, the foundation there, it is all connected. This is all related to the reputation of the college, and as you said, the college being able to deliver the educational opportunities that your donors help fund. So it is so connected, and I just can't thank you all enough for that outstanding work. Are there questions or comments from other board members? Dr. Escamilla?
Just how proud I am of Matthew for stepping up. He's a recent addition to the vice president's team, to our executive team, and so forth. Your leadership, you've been very humble in thanking everybody else except for yourself. Good leaders do that. We know that. You're stepping up. You're doing an amazing, amazing job. You know, I'm not a golfer, but you tee me up all the time, and that's what you make things easy for me to come up there and swing for whatever we're swinging for. More of a baseball player than a golfer. But anyway, you get my point. You set us up for those kinds of things. Lenore and I were proud to have received that very, very hefty check of 1.5 from our beloved friends, Dr. Joyce and Janet Freeman, the Freeman family, because we know it was built on their family's legacy, and to bring that all to the college was really come forth because of the work that you've done and your predecessors and so forth. We don't forget Ms. Townsend and Mary as well. So we certainly do acknowledge the work that they've done as well. So again, collective effort over time, done in an excellent way, and you're leading the way, Matthew. We're very, very proud of you and all the work you're doing as well. Thank you, Regents.
Thanks.
I would want to be remiss because there's two people in the room here, Mike Culberson and Randy here with CCRDC, and they facilitated and were absolutely instrumental, not only in the longtime support of Del Mar College and the foundation, but in the recent, you all are here, I already shared this about the 1.9, but you're here, so I want to point you guys out. We could not have done it, obviously, with Del Mar faculty and staff and leadership, but Mike and Randy took the torch, advocated for Del Mar College and the foundation, and really helped us have a phenomenal win with a $1.9 million Type B, AB board gift. So again, thank you guys so much. I didn't want to leave. Yeah, Randy, Mike, would you mind?
They're going to stand next.
You can stand up and so people see. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So we will get to hear from Mike and from Randy next. Annually, we do ask the CCREDC to come and let's talk about both the tax increment finance zones as well as tax abatements, and to provide some counseling to us as board members on their behalf. So we'll let Lenora tee that up for us, please.
Thank you very much, Regent Scott. Today we are joined by Randy Almaguera, who is the compliance officer for the Corpus Christi Regional Economic Development Board, but also Mike Culberson, who is acting president right now. And thank you very much, Mike. Mike has been before you many times and done this same job and has been elevated to president in the last few years. So thank you, Mike. But Randy, come on up, if you would, please. Randy's going to go through their report for you. Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Laura. Good afternoon, everyone. Randy Almaguer. I'm the compliance officer with the Corpus Christi Regional Economic Development Corporation. Just thank you to Matt for that, those compliments there, but I didn't do much. He put everything together and I just presented, like Dr. Escamilla said, he just set me up there, just went up there. I didn't even have to say anything. They approved it unanimously to the council and to the Type B Corporation. But I have a short presentation. I know you have a pretty heavy agenda. To talk about compliance, again, I am the compliance officer, so get more into this. I was here last year around this time. talk about who we support, what taxing entities, what we do when we submit those packets, go into the agreements what Del Mar College has, what tax abatements, and also we included a slide to talk about TERSs as well. We didn't include that last year, but to see, what Del Mar College has participated in, what they are participating in right now that's ongoing, and what they're going to be participating in the near future. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So again, this is who we provide compliance for. You got the City of Corpus Christi, Nueces County, San Pat County, Drainage District, of course, Del Mar College, and then, as Matt said, Type A and now Type B Corporation, which Del Mar College has done a lot through there with, process technology and the latest enhancing those 5 programs now. And, I can attest to that. What Matt was saying there with those programs, it's what it's going to do when I go do compliance and out in the field there, talking to either the HR directors or the plant managers, they're looking to get these workers coming from Del Mar and getting them onboarded sooner than later. So it's taking 18 months. This is looking to bring that down to 6 to 12 month onboarding process with those organizations. So it's a great program that got approved earlier this year. So when I do compliance, organizations, those industries will send that compliance to us and say, yes, we are in compliance, so on and so forth. It's with CapEx, job creation, how many jobs, average salary, depending what the agreement says. And I'll get that, we'll look at all that information. We'll set up a site visit to, in fact, verify all that information. So we're putting eyes on that. They open up the books. We're looking at, if in fact they hit now how many jobs. You could have, a requirement with they have to be so many in the county, if it's Nueces, San Pat, in the city. So just looking at all the requirements within that agreement and verifying that, then I'll get that, put all my information together, put my packet together. I'll send an email to Dr. Escamilla stating, yes, they are in fact in compliance. Please look at, my formal packet here and have it signed off there. So right now, these are the current agreements, and if you see up there, these are actually expiring at the end of this year. You have now CC Polymers and Epic Y-Grade. You can see the CapEx for both and the job creation for both. As you can see, Epic Y-Grade wasn't a 10-year, I believe it was an 8-year. I think I have a typo there. I think it's 2017 for Y-Grade there. I apologize for that. And this breaks it down even further. So as you can see, the years approved, when they end, the actual investments, when construction began, and when production is supposed to start for each entity there. So this is right now, if the taxes without investment, and talking about this, why do we incentivize? So if we didn't incentivize this, you'd be looking at over the course of 10 years about $78,000 in tax. Taxes with the investment, you see the 9.2 million, and those are actuals of what's happened over the course of 10 years. But it's more to that. You're talking about jobs. You're talking about keeping talent here. You're talking about bringing in people from out of town to live here. They're going to buy a house here. They're going to buy a car here. They're going to raise a family, and they're going to start that process. They're going to go in the ISDs here, and guess where they're going to go to college at? They're going to come to Del Mar College, and they see what their mom or dad are doing, in industry, and they're, I want to do that too. I have a good life. I'm going on vacation twice a year. I'm playing baseball. I'm select baseball. I'm a baseball guy too, Dr. Escamilla. So. Things like that. So there's more things, they're going to go shopping here, you have your ad valorem. So there's a lot of things that go on with that when you get these taxes with investment. So this is on your agenda as well as an action item, potential action item. But I just wanted to put this slide on here. It's just high level, just to show you what CC Polymers is proposing with their pilot, which is, payment in lieu of taxes. They're looking to extend it out, to tax year 2027, and as you can see, that additional pilot payment of $400,000, $350,000, $250,000, and you see the due dates on that. Again, this is definitely up for discussion later on this agenda. I just wanted to bring this up for you. And here's the additional slide we incorporated into the presentation, talking about the 6 TERSs that Del Mar College has participated in. As you see, TERS 1 is already ended. TERS 2, the island, which is called over there, mainly for infrastructure on the Pack-Reed Channel. As you can see, the percentage and number of years that Del Mar College participated in, how it phased down from 100% for 5 years to 80, 60, 40, 20. TERS 3, the downtown TERS, which is a great TERS, as you've seen what's going on downtown right now with a lot of different things. The latest was the Holiday Inn Express right there on the water from that TERS that the DMD put together with Alyssa over there. As you can see, the contribution in that one expires in 28. It's at 100%, and that one's still ongoing. I know they've had talks about extending that one when that one ends. And then you have North Beach. Again, that's one just started back in 2019. Very small incremental buildup in that. Up until this year, they finally had a little bit more money. They're going to incentivize that Fajitaville and Hotel de Ville over there to get those, back going up again. The first project, I want to say, to complement that lighthouse point that actually Mike put together with the Type AB Corporation to kind of complement that north corridor coming in from the Portland, Houston area coming in. The RV park was incentivized by the North Beach. And they did vinyl bulkheading, all brand new. They did xeriscape, all concrete pads, fencing, everything. They went the full 9 on that one. And then you have the TERS 5. I was actually with the city when we put that one together. Unfortunately, that one just kind of fell through. It got canceled. They tried to keep it open, but that one was over there. I don't know if you're all familiar with the old Tinseltown AMC, I think it's AMC Theater now. It was behind there, the potato field, huge potato field. And they were it was for public infrastructure there to get, I think it was mixed use. You had apartments, condos, then you had a big open field park there for the neighborhood. Again, that one got canceled, but you can see the contribution that Del Mar was going to do in that one. And then the latest one, I believe y'all got the interlocal on that one finally. So that one, as you can see, Del Mar's contribution is a max of 10 years with a not to exceed amount of $7 million. And that's in the Old Faro Country Club where the golf course specifically is at. And that one's for the mixed use village type development over there. I don't know if y'all have seen any of those schematics or design on that. But that's where the 6 are. As you see, 1 ended, or 2 ended, I'm sorry, and 1 was canceled, and there's 2 ongoing. You have 1 coming up. And that concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
I think we do have a couple of questions. Regent Loeb?
I just want to say thank you. One of the questions that's come up is on some of the older TERS, as time has gone on, there has been drift in terms of what the TERS is used for. And I was wondering if in your compliance work, you ever do compliance from the basis of looking at whether the new projects and the new budget complies with what the taxing entities agreed to when it started?
I think I remember the conversation on that. I think it varies from TERS to TERS,
right,
to my understanding, with the project and financing plan. And I know TERS 2 on the island is trying to go into more economic development and not for that Pack-Reed channel. And I know they were going to include some developer reimbursements in there. But it was still going to be up to that TERS board if they wanted to include that in the project and financing plan. It just all depends. And I know they got the North Padre Island Development Committee there. Everyone has their input on that. It just varies. I know, like you, downtown is retail. They've done public. They've done a one-way to two-way street conversions. So it's just all depending what they're wanting, I think, in that specific area.
Yeah, but I guess my point is, oh, Mike's running up.
All right, Mike Culverson. We do not do compliance on TERS.
Okay, great.
That's your answer.
You do compliance, like if somebody's getting an incentive from a TERS, you do compliance on whether they are doing that, but you don't do compliance on whether the person, or you don't even do that?
We don't even do that.
Okay, great. All right.
For TERS 2, the city would do compliance. I believe TERS 3 is the downtown management district, 4 city, and 6 will be the city. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other questions for Randy or Mike? I just want to say, while Mike is in the room, we do so appreciate the partnership with the CCREDC. I know that Lenora sits on that board on our behalf or is an ex officio member and is a very valuable, provides input for a lot of companies as you're having discussions with them. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate this compliance work that you do on our behalf as well. So thank you so much.
And thank you, and it's incredibly selfish of me, so I'll admit, when a company looks here, they look for land, water, power, workforce, and I am really, really happy to say that we do not have a problem with the workforce. And we don't have one because of our relationship with the college especially, with the university, with Craft Training Center. But I mean, we have together, I think, built a workforce that is second to none, and we hear it all the time. Everybody says, yeah, I know you have workforce, but what about water and power? So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. You're right. Dr. Escamilla, it is a good place to be. So.
I just wanted to reiterate that and say, you know, I wasn't trying to throw you guys a fastball, but I did hear that, you know, you made a recent staff hire that will even improve that relationship even more.
Yes, she started today. Michelle Unda was New Star. Has taken over. We've actually had we had Christine there, and then she went off to be CEO of Vision Galveston. We had Brittany there, and she went off to be the head of economic development at Denton. So if you want a great job, come work for me for 2 years and then leave. So, so we looked for somebody local, and Michelle just fit all of the boxes, and we are really happy to have her.
That's excellent news.
Thank you.
Excellent news. She's a longtime supporter of Del Mar College and our foundation. That's wonderful. And a distinguished graduate of Del Mar College. So, again, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. We're going to move on to our House Bill 8 update. And since Dr. Patricia Benavides Dominguez is still at the SAC COC meeting in Austin, Lenora's going to give this presentation for us.
Thank you very much. And thank you again, Mike and Randy. Appreciate everything you've done for us. Yes, today I'm privileged to represent Patricia Dominguez. What we've done through our student services and reporting work this last year is every November they submit reports that account for completers. And as we look at House Bill 8, this is a brief overview as to what we've accomplished over the last really year and a half as far as the college working together to really enhance and align, I'll call it, our programs and our credentialing and our reporting to the coordinating board and for state funding and how this impacts. Over this last year, we've particularly worked through the college-wide efforts that really started with the academic side with all the credit programs, through continuing education, corporate services, and then student services and student affairs, who actually come together with institutional research and IT, information technology. So the entire group had to come together and look to see how do we better align and how do we better report so that we can meet the standards within House Bill 8. So what we've been able to do is, through this big partnership across the college, greatly enhance our numbers going forward. And what we accomplished this last year and really pulled together this semester to meet deadlines as set out by the coordinating board, we submitted over 50 new awards. And they are comprised of a variety of things. And I'm going to show even the dollars that this could represent over this next funding year. These 50 broke out into a variety of 3 short-term awards that students can earn either through credit or through continuing education, which is very important because with House Bill 8, prior to House Bill 8, the funding for continuing ed was very different, and it was not nearly as what it is today. The potential there is really great. So we've submitted what we call for ICLCs, which is something brand new. The college Many of you are aware, but the college has invested heavily over the last many years in licensures. And these are industrial licensures that align with programs. So, and it could be in allied health areas or it could be in industrial areas. Typically, it was in welding, or we talked about NCCER, which worked with craft training. And we had all these types of licensures that we already invested in. One was an example was in paralegal. And that aligned with the National Association for Paralegals. And I believe I'll give you an example. It cost the college about $40,000 to align for that one. But however, for that licensure, we did not receive direct funding. Under House Bill 8, we will now, because we've been able to align those with a credential that the college provides, which we call an ICLC, which is it's an institutional credential for licensure. And so as we align these licensures and meet the criteria as set out by the coordinating board, we will receive funding. And we receive more funding if it's in a high demand field versus a low demand or a normal demand field. Nothing's low, and what we call non-high. Either from, the state has their own terminology, right?
Sober field?
Yeah, and so there you go. They all go to a job, though, as Governor Abbott was very pleased today to bring out in many ways. But as you can see, the college has really worked hard. Everyone's come together to submit these all new ones, 50 new ones this fall. And so as we move forward, you're going to see additional funding come through. And this is showing where over potentially $4 million could come in the next funding year for these types of awards. They're ICLCs and OSAs, which is Occupational Skills Award, or WSAs, which is Workforce Skills Awards, which are really small certificates, if you want to think of it that way. They had to meet a certain number of hours and criteria as set out by the coordinating board, and we've been able to comply with all of this. So we're anxious to see how all this is going to roll out next year, but potentially you can see how this breaks out to a total of right at $4 million that could come into the college through this House Bill 8 funding. In addition to this $4 million, though, for students that meet Pell requirements and are over the age 25, then they would potentially receive another 50% in addition to the funding that's from $750 to $1,250 per award. So there's additional monies that could come on top of that $4 million. So this is where we're looking at, and what great effort the college has come together really over this last year and done. And just wanted to share as an update as to the fiscal impact. And I'm ready to answer any questions or give more examples.
So this $4 million is additional money based on the 50 ICLCs and the additional award. Okay,
It includes those that already existed too, though.
gotcha.
We already had several on the books, but this isn't, so it's the composite of all of them.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations. I know that was a heavy lift to align all of those credentials and work skills awards to make sure everything, that we are getting the maximum amount of financial recognition for the work that we're already doing.
To enable us to continue going into the future and expanding those opportunities and so forth. And when Vice President Dominguez was preparing to do this, and then she obviously had that conflict, I talked to her and I said, look, this is, she goes, well, okay, what's the purpose of this presentation? Well, we've taken the deep dives with y'all on HB8 so far, because I think there's a couple more to be done over the next year and a half still. There's going to be some, like I keep saying, loose ends to be tied up. This is a big body of work that has repositioned us for, one, what we were already doing, and two, what we're going to do in these areas of ICLCs and OSAs, WSAs, and all this other alphabet soup. But those aren't just letters. Those are meaningful programs that are voraciously, I think, consumed by our community. We've been doing that. I can go on and on. I'm not going to. We have a long agenda, but that's what today was about. Was a kind of a checkpoint, a point to kind of reassess, because this work is only days old. I think weeks, maybe a couple of weeks old. November 15th, we've submitted this, and the work is just unfolding, and immediately will begin unfolding as Patricia likes to say, product on the shelf for our students to consume.
Thank you. By meeting the deadlines this fall, the awards that are awarded this spring, that students earn this spring, will receive funding for them. So it was really critical that a team led by Dr. Halcomb, Dr. Benavides, and a group across the campus.
Mr. Loeb, you have a question?
It was following a little bit on yours. So did we get paid last year's budget? HB8 had passed. Did we get paid for any of these programs? And
Yes.
if so, how much was that?
We got paid approximately $2.2 million, as classified for the ICLCs. And it was an ad hoc report that we were able to account for the ones that we have in the WSAs. And so those were already submitted in an ad hoc report and pretty much just accepted by the state.
And now that list of inventory has been expanded.
Yes.
Right.
So significantly.
And then this doesn't include the extra payment we get if they're educationally or academically disadvantaged or an adult learner.
That's correct. It does not include it.
It
That's a
could
difference.
be
It's a different set of
50%
categories.
higher than this, too.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great.
This is one category. But see, what happened was we were so far ahead in terms of the inventory on the shelves again, as far as most of the state goes. The coordinating board couldn't formalize the structure for this. They had to move faster because they were already moving into the next session and so forth. So now they're catching up. Now they have mechanisms to inventory these things, categorize them, qualify them, and fund them now. That's what's different now. So they were catching up with us in many ways. Us and Austin and a couple other colleges out there. Not many.
No, I mean, I remember the days when we weren't getting paid anything, that they acted like it wasn't college or real or education.
But
And
we
so,
continued to serve the community thanks to this board for that.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Dr. Natalie Villarreal. She's going to provide a legislative update as we enter into a new legislative session here in Texas and a new Congress at the federal level.
Good afternoon, Dr. Escamilla, Madam Chair, Regents. So today we're going to give an overview on two different agendas, the state agenda for Texas community colleges with the 89th session coming in January, and then the 118th United States Congress that's actually wrapping up in the next month as we move into the 119th, and then discuss advocacy opportunities for the board. So under the leadership of Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, we're entering into the 89th legislative session that's going to kick off January 14th and end in June. Now, pre-filing has begun very quickly. It starts in November and it continues on until March. So there's quite a bit of time for our new legislators to really get in, get organized, and to start filing bills as well. It's important to note as we talk about advocacy, especially for this group, I believe a third of our House of Representatives are brand new this year to the state legislature. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for us in terms of advocacy is we have a lot of people that just need to learn and understand the nuances of what we do. Some of them have very limited experience with community colleges, others have extensive. So it really is our job to get to know them and to really help advocate for our students and faculty and staff. So it's been already a busy legislative session, even though it hasn't quite kicked off yet. We do know for us that our Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, has decided to not run again for Speaker. And so the Republican Party is really starting to push forward and bring in applicants and who they want to see come in and take that seat. Any comments? Okay. So right now, just to give you an idea, after the November election, we've had 87 Republicans in the Texas House and 63 Democrats. And for us, that would include Chairman Todd Hunter, And then also new Representative Denise Villalobos, who takes Abel's spot. And then we also have Representative J.M. Lozano, who continues. On the Senate side for Texas senators, we have 20 Republicans and 11 Democrats. And for Del Mar College in our area, that continues with Senator Juan Chuy Hinojosa. And also we have a new senator in play, which is Senator Adam Hinojosa as well. Does anybody have any questions on state legislature before we talk about priorities?
I just wanted to add that both Denise Villalobos and Adam Hinojosa have a very positive history with Del Mar College. Denise was a Toloso Midway High School student and credits Del Mar College dual credit with her ability to prove her mettle doing college work and scholarship opportunities for Texas A&M Kingsville. So she has a very fond connection with Del Mar College. And Senator-elect Adam Hinojosa graduated with a public safety certificate from Del Mar College and is equally impressed and excited to work with us and help us. So I think we have some good opportunities with both of those new representatives to build on their experience with Del Mar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we have been in contact with our returning legislators and our new legislators as well. So we're excited to get kick-started on that. Just to give you an idea, when we talk about advocacy at the state level, we're talking about representing over 700,000 community college students in the state of Texas. So that's a very heavy lift, and it's very, very important for our community, but also for the workforce of our state. Now, this year, with the TAC, Texas Association of Community College legislative agenda, we have something a little different. And so I believe you have a copy of their priorities on the desk. So as you know, 48 out of the 50 community colleges are part of TAC and the Community College Association of Texas Trustees, which you are part of, CAT. And what they decided to do this year is take a two-prong approach. So what you have in front of you are our three buckets of our legislative priorities. So the three large areas that we're going to be looking at. And these are going to be what TAC is calling our critical goals that we're going to focus on. And then they put together a nice sheet of data for us to look at. And then we also have on the third sheet, if you'll look, there are also legislative focus areas. And again, those are a little bit more general. And really those are speaking points for you to go in, for us to go in and advocate on behalf of the college and on behalf of our students. So if you look at the priorities, what this is aiming to do is give us that clear and concise roadmap so that when we go in, we have those specific talking points. As you know, they only know the information that we give them unless they have experienced it. So we have to be clear and concise. And so what these priorities really do is give us those speaking points. So the priorities continue to focus on our new funding model, which VP Keys was just talking about. And really adding supplemental appropriations to that because community colleges are doing so well. And this dynamic funding model is really proving to the state that we are going above and beyond the measures that they've already set forth for us. So to keep this dynamic, meaning we want to keep it growing and moving, we're asking this legislature session to really accommodate that. Now, on the broader areas, along with funding, you're also going to see things, for example, adding private institutions when a student transfers. And one example, if we want to dig down into our day-to-day operations, one of our metrics, we keep talking to you about those 17 metrics. One of those metrics includes if a high school student completes 15 semester credit hours of dual credit in high school, then the college receives $3,500. Only if they transfer, I'm backtracking. If a student transfers to an institution after 2 years, that's $3,500 in appropriations that we receive. However, if right now as it stands, private institutions are not included in that. So what we would like to advocate for this year is to make sure that if a student is transferring to a private institution, that we are also receiving compensation for that as well. Another interesting piece that we're going to be advocating for is our nursing students and clinical rotations. As we know, nursing is a high-demand field, and this continues to be an issue for our professors and instructors, and ensure that our students are getting the appropriate, timely clinical rotations in the areas in the cities that they live in. And so that's going to be a big part of the session. Does anybody have any questions on that? So I apologize, the PowerPoint had day before yesterday's, and so what you're receiving just came out last night. So we will send you copies of those as well, so that you can have that as we plan to advocate. Dr. Escamilla, did you want to add anything on the state level?
So what's not written here is really around the politics of, that I'm thinking of, that I want to share with you all, is really around the politics of the dynamic nature of the new formula. You know, what we're advocating, and I say we, that being the Association of Community Colleges / I would say CAT combined, is really about seeking the full support from the legislature to move on in a truly dynamic way. Those can't just be words from a previous session that are, you know, mothballed and are otherwise not used. It's about moving forth with good faith and so forth. We're quote, only asking for about a little under $50 million for a supplemental appropriations bill package. And really the symbolism behind that is worth much, much more than even those precious $50 million. And so we're hoping that, you know, we're able, I know we're willing and capable of, of reaching out to those 30% new representatives and those others. Very few Senate seats moved, I think, relatively speaking, but really moving that group forward with understanding that is going to be the challenge. So I just share that with you because those are strategies and things that are more long haul, important in a long haul fashion, and that's just working on one of the big things we'll be working on for advocacy going into the session. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I will briefly touch on the federal Congress right now, because we are about to wrap up in a few weeks the 118th Federal Congress. We still have a lot to work on as we move into the 119th at the federal level. And just to give you an idea on who we're representing with these priorities and this agenda as we advocate, it's over 1,000 community colleges, 6.1 million credit students, 4.1 million continuing education students. I think is really important to note. A lot of our legislative priorities at the federal level haven't really changed. They're small, we have incremental changes, for example, the change in FAFSA, the change in workforce and grants. That work continues, and we've had some great success. But as you can see here, there's still a lot going on here that needs to be worked on. So everything from Pell Grants to, again, FAFSA. They're really looking at innovation and compliance. What does that mean? There's a lot of words out there. It really remains to be seen with our new cabinet coming in as to what they're going to start to prioritize. Really quickly on that, so President-elect Trump has named Linda McMahon as the nominee for Secretary of Education. We could know in a few weeks, we could know in March on the direction that that department is heading in. And so I know some of you will be heading to Washington, D.C. in February. So I'm interested to see what comes back from that and kind of what the culture and the vibe is going on as we head into a new congressional session. And so right now, again, it could take a couple of months. It could take a little as a few weeks, but hopefully we should know soon enough to see what those priorities are. Does anybody have any questions on federal? In terms of your opportunity as Board of Regents to advocate, there's the Coordinating Board Conference that's happening December 12th and 13th in terms of learning what's going on. Council Rivera, are you going to be speaking this year at Coordinating Board Conference? Augie always has the opportunity to speak and educate at that conference. Also, a really big day will be February 3rd, which is a Monday, which is Community College Day. This year, the college is going to focus on that day and smaller, more meaningful visits than having another larger day specifically for Del Mar College. So you'll be getting more information on that day as well, but we're already planning and we're really excited. I believe Ms. Cage has about 50 to 75 students that she's hoping to take on the trip, so we're really excited about that. And then again, the February 9th through 12th trip, the National Legislative Summit in DC. There's a lot still to come. So I look forward to coming back to you in a couple of months with some substance to all of this information. Does anybody have any questions?
By the time our February meeting rolls around, the new legislative agenda was just adopted in October, and so all of the handouts and all the materials associated with the 119th Congress legislative agenda will be available, so that we'll make sure all that is distributed to you. If you have the casual conversations with House members or Senate members or congressional members, please pay attention to these documents, because it's important that the community college voice is, we're all singing from the same songbook. Whatever analogy you want to use, we all have to be talking about the same thing, because what we have learned in years of doing this is that an errant comment from a regent or trustee really can have an impact. And so we do want to make sure that we're speaking with one voice and that we're supporting the agenda at the state level and at the federal level. So if you have any questions, talk to me, talk to Dr. Escamilla, talk to Dr. Villarreal, and we'll be happy to provide any background or any additional information that you might need. You're serving on the legislative committee for TAC?
Yes, I'll continue to serve there, and I'll continue to serve until February with the for the commission HB8 committee on loose ends. I'm going to call it. I forget the name. I can't ever remember the name of that subcommittee I'm on. But with the work that we're putting forth is cinching up all of these details that I'm talking about, such as the ICLCs and high demand fields and so forth. So that body of work ends in January.
And I'm serving as vice chair of the CAT Legislative Committee. So we still, Del Mar College is still actively engaged at the state level on both of those fronts. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal. Appreciate the presentation very much. All right. Ms. Tammy McDonald is going to provide us our professional contract review.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So this is our professional service contract review. We've had just a couple things that have changed since we last reviewed this in June. So we do have, if you look under the financial section, the only changes actually in the last 6 months have been to this section. So we did have Collier, Johnson & Woods, which is our external auditors. The board did renew or award them a new contract this past August, which began September 1st. And then also for our bank, Wells Fargo was also awarded and renewed for our bank activity, and that became effective September the 1st. So there's no other activity for the remainder of 24. All other activity moves into 25 and beyond, and our next review for this is scheduled for June. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't wait for you to get the...
No, it's okay.
I think you went faster than the slides did.
I'm trying to keep it moving for you.
Thank you.
I just noted there's a couple of firms on here who have recently merged or been acquired, and like Urban Engineering is now Urban, DCCM, and I can't remember who the other one was, but there's a couple of them on there that have, oh yeah, Rock Engineering and Testing has been acquired. So might be something to do to amend those agreements to reflect the current name.
Yes, sir, we're updating the agreements on those firms. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think it's just for clarity. So the next time it comes forward, just have a parenthetical or something to show us new name or old name or something.
I was just trying to
once if we get those amended ones in place, then we'll show as some type of change on the list. This shows originally what's in place right now. But as we move forward, like Mr. Mr. Strabo said, we'll make those changes and we'll note it so that you'll know that there was some type of change to that particular agreement. Okay.
The other thing is, I know you've got Sue Corey on there for ADA accessibility. It's my understanding that she's no longer providing that service, that she's totally retired.
Okay, I will check with, I will check on that. Thank you. I know that we had, it's not a service that we typically use very often.
It's an ad-needed service,
Right,
but
as needed.
she may not be available to provide that service any longer.
All right, thank you.
From what I hear through the grapevine.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Anything else? Thank you very much, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to begin our preliminary discussion with the staff report on our budget calendar and discussion on student charges. And as Mr. Garcia comes up, I know Dr. Escamilla has some introductory remarks.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me, everyone. So, as we prepare, I apologize. As we prepare, I'm good. It's this presentation is an annual presentation. I want folks that are, I know everyone in here understands that. I want folks who are probably tuning in or maybe tuning in to understand that this is an annual part of our calendar in which we prepare open discussion about student charges. And we use the term student charges as that big umbrella to talk about the Regents' perspectives on what we have done over the past year and years, and what we may contemplate doing into the future, and especially as it relates to our February board meeting where we formalize the next year's charges for students. Of course, we understand the sensitivity that comes with this. We understand that as part of our mission as an American community college, that affordability remains at the absolute forefront of our thoughts and of our actions for our students. We know that. We live that every day. And as such, we must still come forward and prepare conversations and ideas and so forth to get as open feedback as possible from you all. We know that we don't have a lot of time between now and February to do everything. However, the essentials must be performed so that we can situate the charges for early registration for the fall, which begins in April for the fall of 25 every year. It comes in the previous April to the following fall. So that being said, Mr. Garcia and team and I have come together multiple times in preparation for this meeting. Again, consider everything up there. Remember, we're still in staff reports. There's no action to be taken. I remind everyone out there who may be watching that this is for discussion and this is for contemplation, knowing that all the while the things that are coming here will shape the very busy, all the action that is taking place with student services, financial services, aspects of the college as well as instruction. Lots and lots is going on behind the scenes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we begin today with the college's budget planning process for fiscal year 2025. Today's presentation will set the stage for the February board meeting when the college will deliver another update and possibly a board action item for a tuition rate change to begin the fall of 2024. Our presentation includes a monthly budget plan calendar, strategies that could impact tuition and fees, student affordability indicators, and tuition and fee charges, and student enrollment patterns in relation to regional economic indicators. Ms. Lenora Keys will kick off the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Dr. Halcom's going to join me just in case there's additional questions. What we've done here is we just presented on House Bill 8, and the impacts are still coming together, and many options are still being developed under House Bill 8 as we look at those 17 criteria and the opportunities to realign our different programs and our outcomes within continuing education and the credit programs. And so those initiatives are continuing, and honestly, rules are still being clarified by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, such as what creates or established as a high demand program. Those change. And so these areas are still in flux. And that's what we're talking about here today in this slide, is to issues that could impact us moving forward. The expanded impact of our dual enrollment offerings in the FAST program has been tremendous. And as you noticed when we did this year's budget, FAST dollars were not included in the tuition and fees line item as reimbursement from the state. That is now a unique payment line item, but however, it's still state funding, and it still offsets tuition and fees that would have been paid by students who are under the dual enrollment program. Remember that that has greatly expanded through continuing education and through credit throughout the entire region. The college has been extremely successful with the efforts that have been taken to increase this offering across the entire region to approximately over 4,500 students we're looking at right now as we continue to enroll into the different semesters. So that's still an unknown, but it will directly impact the budget going forward. The other thing is we've just recently received, which was made public in order by the governor, addressing his desire not to increase tuition and fees coming forward. We're not sure exactly how that will impact us as a community college, as it was more directed to universities. However, that still is to be addressed or clarified. In addition, you've seen news across the state where other colleges and the universities have addressed different strategies to look at different cohorts of students to actually have a very reduced or free type of tuition going forward. We are looking at numerous pilot strategies and doing analysis now on how we can utilize different strategies that relate to tuition and fees that really tie into student persistence and completion, because that's really where our student reimbursement is coming from, is through that completion. And so whatever we do with fees and tuition, we want to make sure that the end result is to increase that tuition, the success of students, to increase the success of students, either that they stay in school and that they finish sooner. So that's really our overriding goal as we look at these various opportunities to align tuition and fees. So as we began to move forward, we wanted you to know that these are the big areas that we're keeping in mind, and we're looking at all these in depth. Any questions about this as I kind of set the stage? Okay, thank you. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you. Yes. Good afternoon. So for our fiscal year 2026 budget calendar, we are currently in that planning phase, and that continues on through January. So in October, Mr. Garcia started his tuition and fee assessment. In November, we developed our budget calendar. And then we also met with the Student Government Association and went over this tuition and fee update with them, which we'll discuss further in this presentation. So this week, we will distribute our marketing, equipment, and facility maintenance budget worksheets. I'm excited about it with Ali and his team. Every year, we're always trying to improve the process. They have developed an online portal that our departments will be able to go online to do their technology request. So that's something new this year that we're pretty excited about. So we will officially kick off our budget in January. We'll have our budget trainings for all of our budget managers. And then our information gathering phase, that is from February through April, and that's when we start really gathering that information from all of our departments on what they're needing for the next year. And then Mr. Garcia will bring back in February another update on any recommended tuition and fee changes. So our review and recommendations phase, that starts in May and goes through July. So and during that phase, that's when we're compiling and analyzing all of the data from all the departments, and then we will be providing the board with regular updates. So our budget approval and property tax phase, that's in August, and that's when we'll conduct our public hearings and seek the board's approval for our proposed budget and property tax rates for fiscal year 2026. Are there any questions? Okay, Mr. Garcia will continue.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay, so this slide includes 3 categories for measuring student affordability, which indicate that Del Mar College delivers an affordable education with a wide range of student support services. Beginning with the tuition and fees category, Del Mar College has the lowest cost of attendance when measured against 8 other large Texas public community colleges. As reported in the latest IPEDS report issued by the National Center of Education Statistics, the average net price for a full-time Del Mar student is a low annualized $4,322. Laredo Community College came in a close second with $5,053. Our low cost of attendance is attributed in part to our tuition rate strategy of low and steady increases paired with high levels of student financial aid awarded to our students. With that said, the second affordability category is student financial aid. This includes federal, state, and/or local grants or scholarship awards. The Del Mar College student received the largest annual grant and/or scholarship award when measured against 8 other Texas public community colleges. Once again, as reported in IPEDS issued by the National Center of Educational Statistics, our Del Mar student received on an annual basis an average grant or scholarship award valued at $7,321. The Tyler Community College student annual grant or scholarship award came in at a close second at $6,459 per year. The final and third affordability category is student loan debt. The Del Mar College student has one of the lowest level of student debt when measured once again against the 8 other large Texas public community colleges like ourselves. As reported in the latest IPEDS report, our full-time first-year college student has the 4th least level of annual federal debt valued at $4,031. In addition, the Del Mar student has one of the lowest levels of accumulative debt upon completion. Once again, as reported in this case, the Almanac by the coordinating board, our students carry on the average the 2nd lowest accumulative debt at completion, valued at $14,724. There are no questions on this slide. I will transition to the next slide. Okay. So before taking a deep dive on the 3 student bill examples, I want to point out that the National Center of Educational Statistics reported in IPEDS that 80% of our first-year degree students enrolled in a certificate or associate's degree program receive some form of need-based grant or scholarship. There's 3 student bills presented here. Take the lens for view of the student profile I just described. So here are a few takeaways. In all 3 examples, the students received a grant or scholarship award north of $1,800 for the fall term. Next, all 3 students received a financial aid refund check ranging from $1,000 to as much as $2,100, which can be used at the discretion of the student for other educational costs, including food and housing insecurities or babysitting costs. Lastly, I want to call to your attention the 8 listed basic and special charges on the left top side of the table. The college has not changed 7 of these 8 basic and special charges listed on this slide since the fall of 2013. Despite the inflationary pressures the college experienced over the last 4 years. This is attributed in part to the college's strategy of modest and steady tuition increases. Are there any questions on this? Excellent.
What percentage of the students get a Pell Award?
I have Joseph here from the Office of Financial Aid who may be able to help me out with that question.
Yeah, Joseph's our Director of Financial Aid.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What percentage of our students get a Pell Grant?
Just shy of 60% of our
Okay.
students. Yes, sir.
And so the TEOG and SEOG, whatever those are those available or?
Yes, sir. The TEOG stands for Texas Education Opportunities Grant. That's a state funding source, and the SEOG is the Federal Supplemental Education Opportunities Grant. That's a federal source. So it does carry certain criteria. SEOG, you have to have an SAI of 400 or less in order to qualify. So it is limited even more so to those students that qualify. In TEOG, you have to be a Texas resident. You have to have less than 30 hours. And that's usually the initial award.
So the percentage of students that get those grants is much less?
More than likely, sir, because our funding is actually limited. The good thing is the state actually has increased our allocations. We're upwards of $2 million this year, where just 2 years ago we were at about 900,000. So the state has been very generous and continues to give more to community colleges to be able to award additional TEOG funds.
That's come by way of HB 8.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I've got some questions. How did we decide on in doing this based on seven credit hours per semester?
Why I chose to select this student profile?
Yeah.
Because that's the actual profile of our students. A good number of our students are part-time. I think what we've experienced since the pandemic is we've seen an increase in the number of part-time students. And they're taking about 7 credit semester hours. So I felt that this would be a good indicator. I mean, I could do something different, but this is a pretty good indicator of what our student profile is experiencing today.
Now, if a student, say, was taking 14 hours, would we see the Pell Award being doubled as well?
There's a lot of factors that come into that. I'll just keep it simple. It will definitely increase. It will definitely be well above this, and it would probably be in proportion to the number of credit hours taken. But
Well,
there's
that's why
other
I
factors
picked-
that come into
Joseph,
play.
Joseph, go ahead and chime in there.
Yes, sir. To respond to that, the 1849 number is based on the 7 hours, but you are absolutely correct. It would be doubled should the student take 14 hours. And one thing that the federal government has done this year that's new, it's called Pell Intensity. What that means is before you would get the same amount of Pell from 3 to 5 hours. So let's say I was a 0 EF SAI now.
Can you define SAI, please, for everybody?
Student Aid Index is the new number that we use to determine what type of financial aid we can award.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, we're bad with acronyms, I apologize. But Student Aid Index is what we use to determine how much and what type of financial aid that we can offer. So 924 was the student would receive $924 whether they took 3, 4, or 5 hours. Now the federal government allows you to, it goes up in increments of about $220. So where I just get $924 at 3 hours, I'll get an additional $220 more for 4 hours, another $220 for 5 hours, and then up to the $1849 for, well, actually at 7 hours, it'd be a little bit more now, where before it was limited to in 3 hour increment, or 3 hour increments, so 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, and 12 hours. So that's a good thing.
7 is a rounded up number, really.
Right.
It's a mean number that's rounded up. 6.5 hours, 6 and a little bit. So there's some change in there. So typically we're in 3 hour increments on average.
On average, right.
All right, so if you had a full-time student, we
12
should
hours.
see a commensurate increase in Pell opportunities.
Proportionate to 12 hours, which is the full-time equivalency, yes, sir.
Okay. Is it up to 12 or 15?
12 is full-time.
12? Okay,
sir.
12 is full-time, and that would be the maximum they could receive, of course, if they took 14 or 15 hours. Unfortunately, the federal government doesn't allow it to go over the 12-hour award, which would be this year $3,698.
What about with the TEOG and the SEOG?
The TEOG, again, we get about $250,000 a year to award. So we award $400 per semester. So that kind of runs out really quickly. It's not very many students we can award. And then the TEOG, again, is regulated by the state. That's 1707, actually has gone up to 2250 this year. So we're able to award 2250 per semester in addition to the Pell. So definitely those funds available to the students, we're going to see a dramatic increase to the amount of money they have left to be able to survive beyond school.
And you were talking about 60%. Is that because of eligibility or available funds that we're at 60%?
Eligibility, because when you look at our dynamics, if we have 10,000 students, 3,000 of those are dual credit students on average. They do not qualify for any federal funding. So what I'm looking at is the 7,000 potential students, and it's 60% of those individuals that do qualify for Pell Grant because of, because they qualify based on income and household size and things like that. It's not because of the additional funds, although Del Mar has seen almost $1.7 million more in Pell Grant funds because the amount of Pell has gone up and more eligible students.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm hanging out to Joseph. Any more questions?
Stay close, Joseph.
Yes.
I just wanted to acknowledge, I mean, I think some of the data we were looking at 2 or 3 years ago was only about 40% of our students were getting Pell, and I just wanted to acknowledge, you all said that you were going to do a lot of work on that, and it appears that you did, and I want to thank you for doing that, because that makes a lot of this conversation easier when the students are getting help.
I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks to the team. The team's been moving forward, but it also came from conversations here. Our outreach specialists and so forth, the efforts that are going on are bigger, broader, deeper with regards to outreach for Pell specifically. So those numbers are increasing. Regent Gadasa, I know you were really especially keen on us moving ahead with specific outreach and so forth. We made moves on that several years ago now, I think 2 or 3 at least. And so kudos to the team on increasing on all fronts, and Pell being that really, really special category for us.
I had another question, which is, if you take our total rack rate tuition, if students had, no scholarship discount, what percentage is coming out of somebody's pocket, versus what percentage is financial aid? Do we have a number on that?
No, we would have to run the analysis for you. Yeah, that's a tough one.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
And a related topic, there's still, when you're talking about 60% that are, there's a huge number of those that just prefer to pay cash, and they will not apply. As much as we are trying to gain on that front, they continue to stay on that cash basis society. We talk about that every year this time. They continue to bring inordinate amounts of just paying out front. It's not always cash, but there is a lot of cash to be handled. But we just got to keep trying, expanding, and we're gaining some really good ground there.
cash, and also, there's other programs where, tuition programs that the state provides, especially to our, much-deserved veterans, they're able to waive tuition. So there are other factors as opposed to just not applying for financial aid. There's other,
So waivers for first responders and for certain fields, as well as our veterans with the Hazelwood, much deserved. We support our veterans 100%, 110%, and so forth. So many waivers out there that factor into this that that are the rest of the story.
Right.
There's a fair amount. I mean, I know the Community Foundation gives out a fairly substantial amount of scholarship money, and so, I mean, there's that too, so.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
So yes, there is a wide range of financial aid assistance that's out there. This is just a few examples that we provided. Okay, any other questions? So similar to every other Texan, the college experienced an elevated increase in operating costs from 2021 to 2023, with the inflation rate peaking in 2022 at 9.3%. In contrast, the rate of change in our student tuition and fee charges has been intentionally kept low, resulting in the largest gap in 2022, as you can see here. This is attributed to keeping the cost of tuition and fees low, mainly driven by two factors. One of them I just described. The first is the college strategy of modest and steady tuition rate increases over the years. And then second, the college has not increased 7 of the 8 basic and special charges listed on the previous slide since the fall of 2013. Are there any questions on this slide? Okay. Ms. Lenora Keys will be talking to us about enrollment sensitivity to the unemployment and tuition charges.
This slide is comparing really since 2013 what's happened within unemployment. We've always said that there's almost an inverse relationship between enrollment and unemployment. And if you notice, there's some key years that I'd like to point out. If you notice, August of 2017, that was Hurricane Harvey. Enrollment went down, unemployment went down, which would be kind of unusual. But as we peak through your head count and unemployment, look at 2020 as we move on into the most recent years, and enrollment was impacted directly by COVID in 2020, and as we came down and enrollment fluctuated. So you see the changes, but also I wanted to point out the big years that were impacted by anomalies such as Harvey and COVID. And we are rebounding in this last fall of 2024 when you see unemployment is ticking back up, but so has our head count. And of course, this is enrollment head count really for credit classes. So just is a very interesting slide in the correlation between unemployment and enrollment. In Texas, as employment goes up, think of the Eagle Ford Shale years of 2013-14 and what happened with enrollment. People were working. So people are working more, they're taking fewer hours. That's really the story in this impact here. As we look into the crystal ball going forward, it's being interesting seeing over the next few years as the economy truly is rebounding and stabilizing is what we're indicating. So, any questions about this?
So a comment and a question. The comment is, I'm a believer in John Carver's theory that a crude measurement of the right thing is better than a precise measurement of the wrong thing.
Yes.
And so is there a crude measurement that we can add to slides like this that show us our continuing education head count?
Yes, there is.
And I think that when we're talking about this, I think we need to have that in consideration of what unemployment does or job opportunities do with our short-term credentials and some of our continuing education. So I realize it would not be an exact science and we would not send it into the state to be audited, but if we could figure out a crude way to show the equivalent head count on continuing education courses. So that's the comment. The question is, we talked about what happened in big dips in enrollment. What was the big spike from fall 2014 to fall of 2015 or August to August? Where did that big 2,000 number jump come from? How did we gain 2,000 students in one cycle?
Sure, I could answer that. First of all, the number that you have in here for the head count includes continuing education.
Oh, this does?
Yes, it's
Okay.
embedded in that number. And so with that said, I can also explain what happened in 2019. So what happened in 2019 is that the college adopted a couple of growth strategies in our Office of Continuing Education, which resulted in the second largest year-over-year headcount increase of 57%. And so that caused, what happens here is a divergence in the two rates. Historically, if you look at this, our enrollment tends to follow our unemployment rates, but there were all those conversions or diversions has been as a result of strategic initiatives that the college has adopted. The other one was back in 2015 with our dual credit enrollment. That spiked, and so that's why it didn't follow the unemployment. Fall 2018, 2019, it was a combination of dual credit jump as well as continuing education. So all growth strategies there.
Yeah, it was all, and fundable CE. And the state used to count things differently back then, too. So the buckets that were being filled by CE and credit were also were reimbursable, reimbursable by the state, and counted very differently back then. So that was another thing. That's why we every year that you see here is just not apples and oranges. Well, it is apples and oranges. That's the problem, in so many cases. And so they're changing the way they've funded things, and so that's why we're seeing different spikes here and there.
Well, and let's go back to 2019. That was basically due to two large contracts with industry partners who were building huge facilities, and we were able to go on site. And the training that we were conducting there through corporate services, we also aligned with continuing education, and we were able to get continuing education for those students at Gulf Coast Growth Ventures that were also through corporate services. And so those two large contracts contribute to 2019. So there are some anomalies, and yes, continuing education is included, but the early years, it's very nebulous as far as that head count.
Gotcha. So when you made the comment about credit, continuing education credit is counted, but continuing education non-credit is not?
That's
in
correct.
These numbers?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, yes.
I apologize for not understanding.
No,
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing that we're trying to do a comparison, changes in unemployment, but I don't see the tuition charge component on this chart.
Yes, sir. That was shown last year, and we felt like that it was a difficult correlation to make as it trended with the different spikes, and so we wanted to focus on really the trend between unemployment and the economy and the relationship with enrollment.
Yes, and I was asked about that, Regent Kelly, and I absolutely subscribe to this. It's about trending employment to enrollment. Moving tuition a dollar or two did not have the significance view, the statistical significance that these other two variables do of enrollment and as it relates to employment. And going back to what Carol's Regent Scott was asking about the CE, we used to prior to COVID, we always brought in the credit enrollment, and we would show how it would oppose the CE enrollment, so how they would oppose the enrollment trends. Once we hit COVID, things just blew up, and things went in every different direction, and we're waiting to really kind of let the economy course correct. We think that's just happening now with the enrollment resurgence around the country, and I think there's some normalization coming back to us, and I think going forth we'll have better indicators and be able to share that kind of information like we used to. It was so fun to just watch those two things do exactly what you would. Yeah, enrollment would go up, or unemployment would go up, and the credit would do one thing and the CE would do another, and it was a beautiful thing. We're just getting back to normal, we think, And I think the future enrollment patterns and data will show that.
It's going to be real interesting to see what the impact House Bill 8 has on with the growth in continuing education.
That's another one.
It may normalize that. It may really make an interesting diac, as far as that correlation between continuing education and credit and real unemployment.
But let me go back. I think, go ahead, Regent Kelly, I'm sorry.
Okay, so what we're seeing is a lot of outside variables that are affecting this. I would imagine that the emphasis on results might result in fewer students still being here from year to year. If they're getting their results faster, they're getting out faster, right?
They're getting in that workforce quicker. What we're seeing is what I call a spiraling of work. As you see these short-term credentials come together, they take them just so far up the workforce and up the career track, then they'll need another one, and then they'll need another one as technology changes and the demands of the job change. So it'll be a stacking of smaller credentials.
So let me go back, because I can hear Matthew Busby's spidey senses over there on a comment that I made. Tuition does impact enrollment. Tuition changes. $1 or $2 credit hour increments, not as sensitive to those kind of increments. But when you sit there and you're talking about big scholarships and fueling students and or reducing significantly their burden of their financial burdens to come in, yes, that does impact it. So I open up that discussion to say big changes in the amounts of charges, financial impediments moved to big changes, that does affect it. $1 or $2 a credit hour, the statistical difference wasn't worth, we thought, bringing to this conversation. And really confusing to a lot of confusing this graphic here in front of us any more than it's complicated enough as it is. We think the bigger discussion really is around affordability of different sorts, such as the foundation brings and other programs around the state.
So, but are we going to keep track of the cumulative effect? How many years have we had the policy that we're going to increase tuition $2 a credit hour?
So that is always a given upon approval of the board.
How long? But
It's
every
in place.
time we come here, we talk about this, we say, consistent with the college's policy. When did we enact that policy?
Well, it's not a policy to adopt $2. First of all, it's a
The
recommendation.
$1, the $1 is a
Yeah,
recommendation.
it's a $1 is
The policy is to,
but
the policy is to bring it back to the board every year for consideration and so forth for the automatic $1. So the question, I want to make sure and ask the question, when did that start? Very long time ago. I can't recall
10
exactly
years, I
when.
think.
10 years?
I'm
No.
thinking 8 to 10.
It was way
Look,
before that.
It'll be dated in the policy,
I'd have to go back and get that date, but
more than 13.
I was assuming it was more than 4 because I didn't remember voting on it.
no, it's got to be about 20 years or so. I'm getting that from the financial folks over there. It's 20 plus years.
It'll be dated in that policy
Yeah,
manual.
it
Just
could be
look it up.
15, 16, 17 years, somewhere in there. But again, we're talking about the incrementalism, but I don't want to slow down because we got a big discussion to hold on. Any next question?
No, we haven't gotten to the big discussion yet.
Well, we got to get to the slide that says questions. Sure. And that's when we open
Okay,
up and
I
so
understand.
forth. So I just want to make sure she gets.
That's the next question.
Oh, dang, there it is.
So,
Thank you.
Questions are implied. Let's open it up.
it says thank you, actually, so questions.
Thank you / questions.
Yes.
The implication is questions, so it's implied there. So we really want feedback.
Yeah.
What you're saying, Regent Kelly, about the $1 policy, customary policy, we want to hear all things. Going back to the slide that talks about all the assumptions, the environmental assumption, there you go, right there. These are things that we're really contemplating right now, that we're really grappling with. All of the HB8 things, expanded. The dual credit is exploding all over the state, and we're no different there. The governor's order, we're waiting to hear how those politics play out. We still have not got
a solid answer there, although I heard TAC was meeting with the governor's office yesterday, so I should be hearing something soon from them. We should be hearing something soon. And then pilot strategies, there are things out there that we're doing analysis on, whereby we're watching other college districts that are doing pilot strategies, like running pilots to bring in cohorts of students at no cost to them, and different funding models therein that make affordability really a powerful tool for the district and for those families to come in. And Austin Community College in particular is a model that we are looking at and studying very closely. Mr. Garcia has been working with his team along with their financial teams to look at the no cost to the students for particular cohorts, and that is having a profound impact on their enrollment, we are finding. But very, very complex matters. And so right now we really want to base or use these 4 bullets as points of conversation. Again, we've got till February to do certain things, and then we have till the following February to do even more, should that be the case. We want to make sure not rush into anything prematurely, but there are some things that we have to do. So I really want to hear what the regents have to, we really want to hear what the regents have to say.
Comments, questions, Mr. Loeb?
Well, first, I just wanted to reiterate something Regent Kelly said, which is as people complete faster, your head count staying the same actually means you're serving more people. And
Say it again, I'm sorry.
If people are completing faster, which they have been, I've seen, we kind of sandbagged some data one time where you could see how many associate's degrees and how many certificates we awarded 10 years ago, and we've got 2 times as many associate's awards and I think 3 times as many certificates. So that means that even if we had an equivalent enrollment, we're actually graduating significantly more people. And so that is more people, if somebody can finish in 2 years versus 3, your head count stays the same, you're actually serving 50% more people.
Absolutely, and which is more conducive with the performance-based outcomes. It's even more powerful now than ever, but that's where we got to be focused.
And I know we have a ton of data that we track, but maybe a trailing, here's how many people, here's our individual head count combined for the last 4 years or something like that. That would probably show a difference, or just show us our yearly completions and various things, because I've told people that who've said, well, our enrollment's up, but I've said, look, if we're doing our job, enrollment can go down.
Yes.
Because people are finishing faster.
But ideally, it doesn't go down.
Right. Ideally, it doesn't. So on all this stuff in general, I think. Every year we have a sparring match on this, and I'm kind of the person that says, let's make sure that we're getting enough to respect our taxpayers, give our employees the pay raises that they deserve, and make sure the quality of our education gets better or at least stays the same. There's a lot of stuff this year. I want to start with the governor. I just want to point out that the governor's order to the universities includes the possibility of getting some money from the state to pay for what would otherwise be a tuition increase. So, I think we should ask, does this include us? And if so, are we getting some money to pay for that? And if that's the case, the state wants to pay for it, great, fine. HPA, we've had a discussion about what to do about our buildings. I don't think we have any huge costs on the horizon. We're not looking to dramatically expand any of our facilities. That's what I got out of that conversation. But we still have a pretty big price tag on making sure that we're maintaining what we have. So I would say I want to see something that takes that into account. I don't want us to go, okay, we can do a cohort plan that dramatically lowers cost, but that comes at the cost of not taking care of our buildings, and then we're handing our taxpayers a big bill in 5 or 10 years when we or our successors say, oh yeah, we weren't taking care of the buildings. So to me, that's another thing. On the pilot, I would say, I saw what ACC did on their pilot. One of my things has always been, we have a very large service area, we have a very small tax district, and there is not a very large difference between what our in-district and out-of-district tax rate is, or tuition rate, sorry. I realize that given that a huge amount of our funding comes from enrollment levels and completion levels, the idea of dramatically expanding out-of-district tuition to meet, to be fair, I guess, to our taxpayers, kind of eats our young in that it would erode our ability to serve those students and therefore the amount of funding we get from the state. So I would say on the pilot strategies, to me, the most important thing is to make sure that we're respecting our taxpayers by targeting them at the students who live in and pay our tax district rate. My hope is that that would encourage other communities to join the tax district, and that is how we are able to provide lower taxes to our taxpayers. And to me, that's kind of the fair way to look at it. I'm very interested in seeing the math. And if we can get the math as early as possible and then discuss it, I would appreciate that.
May I comment on that?
Yeah.
As a possibility, let me put this out there right now, and it was something that as we were working through this as recently as Friday, we understood that prior to February, there should be an opportunity or could be an opportunity to call a special call meeting and to have a workshop around this very item right here. In other words, to take one more, take a deeper dive outside of this particular staff presentation at middle to late part of January in preparation for the February meeting. Then we can really, really show you the analysis that we continue to put together. I regret that we didn't have enough time, but at the same time as we're looking at the other pilot programs that are taking place, they're just launching and they're just realizing outcomes and so forth. And so we're watching, especially Austin Community College, roll it out. They are the proverbial first mouse to the cheese, and we're watching all those things and watching all the variables and staying in touch with them. That being said, possibly to meet in January is something we want to put out there for your consideration, because not even a workshop on the day of February meeting is appropriate. I think you're exactly right.
So, and I mean, in continuing on that, I would say I would rather expand whatever we do from district taxpayers, doing ACC only did academic. Given our role, I think doing CE within the district before we do academic out of the district,
sure,
to me is fair and smart.
I think there was academic, but it was, I think ACC's was credit, CTE, and transfer, not just transfer, as I understand it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the credit side of the house.
Okay.
So yeah, then there's the whole CE ball of wax.
I mean, I've seen a lot of interest where people were like, oh, you mean, I could send my people over to get formal carpentry training or whatever and rocket docket. And I think that would be a huge benefit and incentive, not just for our residents, but our businesses as well, if they knew that they could, send people over here and it was already paid for because they paid their taxes. So, I mean, that's what I think. Dual enrollment and FAST, I've gotten some feedback from, I know we've got about 50 homeschool families that are doing dual enrollment. I've gotten some feedback that, hey, it's not really free because we only did it for public and charter schools. We did not do it for private schools or homeschool. that's what I've told them is I was like, well, that's the way the legislature wrote the bill. I don't know if we want to get into all of that. And so, I mean, I've told them it's because the way we wrote the bill, but I assume given the amount, at some point that's going to come up.
Yes, it has, and our team continues to work on that. We get calls routinely for that clarification. The difficulty in that is the law is not written agnostically about it, it's written very specifically.
Right.
And so that's the tough part, is how do you get around the legislation that describes a particular segment out there? It makes it really hard for us, and I didn't understand that from the get-go. I frankly would have spoken up more vehemently about it. But
I mean, I don't even know if the legislature knows that that's what they did.
I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
It's one of those details that got put in there.
But they're moving public dollars around, right? I see the logistics of, we're going to do this for public schools.
Oh, sure.
And use public funds to do that.
I don't know. It's odd to me, given the politics of the whole thing, that they would not include
Private schools.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I see where there's all kinds of questions and so forth. But it is a very small and very important segment of our population. We love our homeschoolers. We love our parochial students that come from the parochial schools. And I just ran into Bishop Mulvey the other day, and Superintendent Henry from the diocese schools and so forth. And I told them we're working on it. We're working on it. We're doing what we can. It's just the law makes it particularly difficult.
And when we're doing the deep dive, can we look at the data that demonstrates that we would have a greater impact on enrollment if we did a $5 increase every 5 years as opposed to $1 every year? I think that's what I heard you say. A dramatic increase negatively impacts the.
Yes, I think you begin to see a trend there. You know, that's a significant jump, but the trends are most dramatic that we're seeing recently are around these pilot programs such as the Austin Community College has. And they're the forerunner in this, and they're out there with the first dollar in. In other words, they're fronting the dollars on for these students in a particular cohort coming in. That's where we're seeing double-digit increases. I think 17% is the head count increase that they saw as a result of a pilot program that they brought in at no cost to students for a particular cohort coming in as freshmen from a particular, well, from their graduating classes coming in. When you remove that's what I was alluding to. When you remove that level of the financial barrier, that's a whole different game. $1 to $5.
That's the flip side, right? If we dramatically reduce the cost, we're going to get more students.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess my general point is that if we're going to dramatically reduce the cost for people, if we have the financial capability to do that, I want us to do it for people within the tax district. Because
absolutely understood.
Because I mean, the reality is there's no such thing as free tuition. It's who and how it gets paid for, and right now, our property taxpayers are paying for it.
And the idea around that right now is that the performance-based dollars that we continue to earn and grow our budget with would be plowed back in, so to speak, and in theory brought back in to allow more access, therefore more enrollment, more graduations and so forth that would grow our base due to the performance-based dollars that do not come from local tax owners. That would be used for growth.
Yeah.
We've got some other folks who want to have input
Sorry.
into this discussion. Do you have anything else for right now?
I would just say, you know, if the money we were talking about earlier on the CE, if we could plow that back in on that program and that would work financially, I'd be interested in that.
Okay. In terms of the levers that you're talking about for these potential pilot strategies, so all of these are levers, and how those levers balance to help us cover the cost. So my concern with a first dollar in program is the potential to lose the Pell, TEOG, and SEOG. So I don't know how you balance that ability for students and the lever associated with that federal and state funding. So that's one concern that I have in terms of a first in versus last in dollar. And I really want to make sure that we understand that, because we can't afford to supplant the 80% students who receive either Pell, TEOG, or SEOG. The other piece that from a behavior that we want to incentivize, kind of a discussion, we have struggled for years with semester credit hour to completion, time to completion, and our part-time student rate. So do we incentivize full-time students? And so to receive free tuition, you've got to be a full-time student. Do you have to be a full-time student in sequence? And do you or do you not have to maintain a certain GPA? So those are potential levers to consider in a pilot program. What does that do to help us move students along efficiently? Right now, without having any math in front of me, I would tend to say, yes, full-time students, yes, fall and spring matriculation, maybe summer off, but we certainly would provide it in the summertime if somebody wants to go straight through. But the idea would be that we want to incentivize behavior that is going to move people through efficiently through a program. And I don't mind if it's credit academic programs for transfer, for completion, or if it's a continuing education that leads to a licensure or credential. To me, that makes no difference to me. It is about the methodology to move students through a program efficiently. So those are some of the levers that I'm concerned about, as well as the taxing district students versus out of district. So I think that would need to be heavily considered. I know Mr. Garza has some questions.
I guess mine are mostly comments. I guess the thing that concerns me, and I have taken a position that if we've got a tuition increase needs to be minimized because of the fact that so many of our students do struggle financially to be able to come. The reason most students go part-time is because they're working full-time. And they're parents, they've got other responsibilities. So again, we can do a lot of things up here, but the bulk of our student population, or I'm going to say financially struggling students. And when we increase the tuition rates, and again, it might be increase to $1. Okay, I'm okay with the $2. I can't. I mean, that's a tough pill for me to swallow anytime. $3 for me out of the question. But there's 20% of students that don't get any financial aid at all. Those students, to me, are students that either are kids or maybe illegal immigrants that probably can't file all the paperwork. They're here and they're basically living under the shadow of other folks because they can't step into the mainstream. There's other students whose parents or maybe running small businesses and they don't have their reporting up to date and stuff, so they can't come up and step up and even if they meet all the requirements of somebody who needs financial help, they don't have the capacity to be able to get the things they need to get done in order to be able to qualify. And so again, some of those students to me could be the next Michael Dell or the Steve Jobs or somebody that might make a huge contribution in this community if they had the ability to be able to afford an education, a higher education. So those are the folks that I worry about taking out of play, moving out to the side. Now, again, one of the things, and I am extremely impressed and real grateful for all the work that our community foundation does in raising money and being able to help students. And all the numbers show we get 1,300 students that we're helping. And when you take a look at the number, 1,300 students, possibly the biggest percentage of them are doing part-time. And the tuition rate increase, just for $1, not two, but for $1 is almost $100,000 that's going to take from the community. That means that if they raise $100,000 more, they're at ground zero. They're still where they were last year. I know we've been very successful. They've done a great. I say we, not really we. Matt and his group and certainly the board have done a great job of raising more and more money, more than that number, but it's still dollars that comes out of the community foundation. if you wanted to increase the number of students from 1,337 to 39 to 1,500, that's going to be an obstacle that they have to overcome. Paying the $100,000 is going to mean that increase is going to be even less the number of students that they're going to be able to help. So those are things that I think about, and I'm all for everything that David talked about. I agree with. I want to make sure that we don't take a step back or we dip down in the quality of education that we're providing our community. That's the most important thing. Giving certainly the staff and the faculty is a big, huge. I mean, it's a need. We have. I talked in my speech about professionalism, so I appreciate the staff and the work that you guys do. I really do. I mean, I've never been in an organization where I've seen, like we had 2 years ago when we couldn't provide any increases, the ability of the staff to move forward and just keep their eye on the goal and the chore and being able to look at things positively and keep moving so we could meet the goals that we had as an institution. But still, the tuition to me is a sensitive issue.
It will always remain as affordability being one of our underpinnings. And again, what's happening right now, we're going through a sea change of opportunity. And what we're looking at now is so different from the previous years of setting up budget, and particularly as that third stool of student charges. That piece is now a whole different conversation. Heretofore or even prior to last year, I would say, I would come to you all adamantly about $1 or $2, maybe $3, in the way of a proposal. The way things are now, because of the outcomes-based, the performance-based, our opportunity to generate and grow our resources is through outcomes. That's why the shift in our curriculum and all of these other things, repositioning our curriculum so that we can generate more revenues from the state is a bigger opportunity than anything we can gather from our students. What I'm saying is now we are looking forward to the opportunity to come to you all and present lower and lower student charges because of the outcomes-based opportunities. So that's what's in front of us.
So I think if we've got a greater capacity or opportunity for outcomes, good outcomes, or completed outcomes, and we execute the way we think we can, then there should be a lesser need for increase.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I just want to make sure.
Yes, we're saying the same,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Yes, sir. That's perfect. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Do you have enough to chew on? Over the holiday break? Thank you.
There will be no holiday break, I promise, for some of us. But that being said, the opportunity to come back and meet in January, if there's a chance to do that in a workshop fashion that may or may not fall on a Tuesday, but it will be a special called meeting, it would be important for us to be able to bring some of this data and information to you all so that maybe we could make that first bite at the apple for affordability, increasing affordability, decreasing the cost for students in February.
I'm concerned about those whose schedules don't allow them last-minute changes even to a January schedule, so that's the
I'm usually,
scheduling.
I'm booked 2.5 months in
Yeah.
advance.
Well, what are you doing on Saturday?
This past Saturday, I was mediating for someone.
Yeah, so I think if you're looking at a potential date, maybe a late afternoon so that Lori could join. I mean, I just think we have to be very cognizant that we know of at least 2 regions who have very structured schedules. And so adding in a meeting when we've talked all along about not having a meeting in January, now we want to add a meeting back, that's really tough. That's really tough. So there's a majority of us who could make it, but I don't want to leave on a continuous basis, leave out regions who don't have the flexibility. So I'm concerned about that.
Well, we've heard your insight, and we really appreciate the comments and direction that we've gained today. It's very helpful as we move forward. And I love the content about levers, and that's really what they are. There's so many that we're looking at. So thank you.
If we do end up with a date that doesn't include, or that particular regions cannot participate with a group of us, then I would strongly encourage you to meet individually those regions who cannot attend a group meeting, and make sure that you give ample time for them to provide input as well. We'll do that. All right, there is nothing else on our staff reports. That was a long group of staff reports, but all very, very important today. We do have our pending business list. And so when we come back for our regular meeting in February of next year, we will be looking at the tuition and fee schedules, including our CE programs. Try to do that all in one meeting. We'll have our policy review discussion in February, and then quarterly financial and investment reports. So the rest of the pending business items are on that list. If there are no questions, then we will look at our consent agenda. We have 3 items: approval of minutes, acceptance of investment and financial reports. Are there any items that need to be moved for separate consideration? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cruel. Second by Mr. Loeb. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of adoption of the consent agenda, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes. All right, moving on to our regular report. We are very thankful for our friends from Collier, Johnson & Woods waiting for us to present our comprehensive annual financial report. Mr. Garcia is going to tee that up. But thank you all for your work to get that done for this December meeting, and congratulations to your team, Mr. Garcia, for getting that done as well.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to begin with thanking Dr. Kathy West, Christina Gonzalez, and Jackie Landrum, and members of the team who were engaged in this year's year-end financial audit. Adam Miller with Collier, Johnson & Woods is here today and will report the results of this year's financial audit.
Adam, if you just want to pull this lever comes all the way, there you go.
Got it. All right, am I steering on here?
Yes, sir.
I am, okay, excellent. Well, good afternoon. My name is Adam Miller, and I'm a shareholder at Collier, Johnson & Woods, and we're going to go over the results of this year's audit. Here's a quick look at our agenda. We'll begin with the auditor's report, followed by some key financial highlights, and then next we'll cover some required communication with you, the governing board, and as well as take a look at future accounting standard implementations that'll take effect next year and for the years subsequent. I am pleased to share that the Government Financial Officers Association has awarded Del Mar College the Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting for the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the fiscal year ended August 31st, 2023. It's the last time that I presented to this group. This marks the 14th consecutive year that the college has earned this prestigious award. And I'd like to extend a personal thank you to the ACFR team for their dedicated and hard work in not only accumulating that report, but this one as well. The ACFR, from cover to cover, spans just over 150 pages and is comprised of 4 principal sections. This includes the introductory section, the financial section, the statistical section, and the federal and state award section. Similarly, we issue 4 reports, which encompass the aggregation of professional standards, including U.S. Generally Accepted Auditing Standards, U.S. Generally Accepted Government Auditing Standards, and compliance requirements of the U.S. State of Office and Management and Budget for federal awards, and the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts for state awards. Our first report is the Independent Auditor's Report, and the purpose of the Independent Auditor's Report is the expression of an opinion as to whether the financial statements adhere to the reporting framework of the college, which is U.S. GAAP. Regarding the financial deliverables listed in the slide, we are expressing an unmodified opinion, An unmodified opinion is referred to as a clean audit opinion, and this conveys to the users of the financial information that the results and disclosures adhere to the reporting framework without exception. The next report is what we refer to as the Yellow Book Report. This is a unique report that's produced for audits in accordance with government auditing standards. And the purpose of this report is to describe significant control deficiencies surrounding internal controls over financial reporting, or the lack of them. Within our report, we disclose that we encountered no material or significant control deficiencies as a result of our audit procedures. The purpose of the independent auditor's report on compliance with federal programs is the expression of an opinion as to whether the college adhered to the respective compliance requirements of the federal programs. Within this report, we similarly expressed an unmodified opinion, meaning we noted no instances of noncompliance with major federal awards. The purpose of the independent auditor's report on compliance with state programs is the expression of an opinion as to whether the college adhered to the respective compliance requirements. And within this report, we similarly expressed an unmodified opinion, meaning we noted no instances of noncompliance with major state awards. Next, we'll go over some financial highlights. The statement of net position is a point-in-time financial and is similar to a corporate-type balance sheet. And this financial reports the college's assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position. In the aggregate, the financial statements convey the utility of capital raised in previous bond offerings for continued construction and renovation projects. You also notice a gradual decline of total debt as the college meets principal obligations for these debts each year. To better convey these associations, I've prepared a graphical representation of the college's assets and liabilities over the past 6 years. Regarding the college's assets, you'll note the inverse relationship between cash and investments to capital assets, reflecting significant investment in infrastructure and long-term resources. You will note that the other categories of assets, including accounts receivable, have remained relatively stable. With liabilities, you'll note an increase in total debt in 2020, corresponding to the bond series A and B issued during that respective year, followed by a directional decline of total debt as principal is repaid each year. And you'll also note a collective continuity of other liability categories over the respective time range presented. Next, you'll find a chart illustrating the total net position, and as you'll note, this graph conveys a linear directional improvement of total net position of the college. As expressed in the MD&A, the total net position is helpful in assessing the overall financial health of the college. This next slide highlights key performance indicators of the college over the fiscal year. The college's net position increased $11.8 million during fiscal year 2024, indicating overall growth and strengthening of the organization's fiscal footprint. Overall total revenues considering operating and non-operating revenues have remained relatively stable, noting only a $1.2 million decrease on a year-over-year basis. Categories of revenue with the most notable fluctuations on a year-over-year basis pertain to an increase in state appropriations, which pertain to changes introduced in House Bill 8, and then with the discontinuation of the HERF programs in 2023, federal grant revenues have decreased on a year-over-year basis. With revenues, you'll note the largest source of revenues is ad valorem taxes, which increased $1.4 million over the prior year. And you also notice the effect of the COVID-19 funding, which resulted in a precipitous increase and decrease in federal grants between 2020 and 2024. You also note the uptick in state appropriations in the current period. Furthermore, you'll note the relative continuity of the other revenue sources over the respective time range presented. And with expenses, you'll note the most significant source of expense relates to the college's instructional program. You'll also note a normalization of student service expenses as fiscal year 2022 represented an outlier year with increase in expenses associated with purchase of supplies and non-capitalized equipment for the Oso Creek campus. And you also notice the other areas of expense presented have remained relatively stable over the period presented. This next chart illustrates the relationship of total revenues and total expenses. And this relationship is the basis for the directional increase in the net position, as we noted previously. Included in this slide are the major federal programs we tested as part of our compliance examinations. These major programs for this year included the Financial Aid Cluster, Carl Perkins, and the Texas Workforce Commission Workforce Initiative and Opportunities Act Cluster. Our tests resulted in a coverage of approximately 89% of all federal awards expended during the fiscal year ended 2024. This slide similarly illustrates the state programs tested as part of our compliance examination, and our testing resulted in approximate coverage of 56% of all of total state awards expended during the fiscal year ended 2024. This slide outlines the auditor's responsibilities under generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And our primary responsibility is to form and express an opinion on the financial statements that they're presented fairly in accordance with U.S. GAAP. We are also responsible for the assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements. And as part of our audit, we consider internal controls in place to design appropriate audit procedures and to communicate any significant matters identified during the audit process. As outlined in our engagement letter dated September 23rd, our responsibility is to express an opinion as to whether the financial statements adhere to the reporting basis. It is important to note that the audit is intended to provide an opinion, is not intended to provide an opinion on internal controls, but to assist in informing our audit procedures. Outlined here are the aspects of the audit. Management is responsible for establishing and maintaining internal controls and ensuring fair presentation of financial statements and implementing fraud prevention programs. And additionally, the audit followed the planned scope and timeline communicated in our engagement letter. There were no significant deviations from the planned scope, with the audit beginning in October and ending in December. This slide highlights the critical accounting estimates related to the net pension and OPEB liabilities. These estimates include subjective inputs, and accordingly, the recorded positions can fluctuate on a year-over-year basis. This next slide highlights that we received the necessary written representations for management to publish our audit reports, and there were no internal control deficiencies and no indication of fraud during the fiscal year ended 2024. And we're pleased to report that there were no significant difficulties encountered during the audit, and there are no disagreements with management on financial reporting or other matters. Additionally, we identified no corrective or uncorrected misstatements, either individually or in the aggregate, that impacted the fairness of financial statements as a whole. These findings reflect a smooth audit process and a strong alignment with management in preparing accurate financial statements. This slide highlights our limited procedures required for required supplemental information. We have reviewed for consistency, but we did not audit. It also notes the college's significant accounting policies can be found in Note 2 to the financial statements and the upcoming U.S. GASB standards to be implemented in future periods, which are GASB 101, GASB 102 and GASB 103, and the staff are currently contemplating their implementations and effects in future periods. Before we wrap up, I just want to make sure you have my contact information just in case questions arise from today's presentation. Feel free to reach out. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank our audit team, which include Lachey, Mark, and of course Bridget as well. At this point, I'd like to open to any kind of questions you might have on the audit.
Thank you very much, Adam. We appreciate a boring audit with no significant findings.
Right.
It's a wonderful thing in our world.
You're not boring, Adam. That's
You're
not what we're
boring.
saying.
The lack of incident in this report is a good thing. I understand that.
That's a wonderful thing. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Adam?
I read it, so I went to the bathroom, and on the bathroom I said, you know, I read that whole thing. I'm not going to have to sit through that whole presentation.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, cover to cover.
It was pretty unexciting, which is, I guess, how you want your audits.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so
That's exactly right.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
We do need to take an action to accept the audit. Is that the correct action? Yes, to accept the audit as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Loeb. Second by Dr. Babbly. And again, with our gratitude to Collier Johnson & Woods, we thank you for your ongoing support of the college and the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Any public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the annual comprehensive financial report as presented, please raise your hand. Mr. Cruel, do you want to vote with us? Any opposed? There we go. Any opposed? Same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you again. And congratulations to Mr. Garcia, to Dr. West, and to your entire team for your work on this. Thank you. Next item on our agenda, actually, and thank you to Dr. Escamilla, because the rest of the college staff is involved in some of this as well, so thank you.
Lots of people. Just thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Adam, as they're
Thank
walking
you.
out. Thank you all very much. Happy holidays.
The next item on the agenda is for Mr. Strybos to talk about possible annexation of properties not executed with the new industrial district agreement.
The city of Corpus Christi has annexed part of these properties that we'll talk about. And so in accordance with the Texas Education Code, Section 130.066, automatic annexation of certain territory, as the city of Corpus Christi annexes property, then Del Mar College may also annex the property. And so in this case, the properties are ones that have not executed a new industrial district agreement, and these are industrial district numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the proposed annexation area is located within the service area of the following independent school districts: Tolosa Midway, Calallen, Corpus Christi, Ingleside, Gregory, Portland. And so I've got some maps from the city, additional background from the city. So these are industrial service districts. Give you an idea of the locations. So District 1 is on the top part, and District 2 and 4 on the bottom left. And then you have Districts 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the city is finishing their annexation today along with us. And kind of it's a matter of timing that this gets finished this current fiscal year, calendar year.
How much value is it?
Well, we're going to have to determine from the city about that because they were industrial district, and so they had abatements.
Because, I mean, we've already got most of the big stuff, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this is smaller.
Smaller ones that did not sign agreements.
Okay.
Now, the council agenda for today had an updated map that showed the properties that had not signed, and there was some small, probably 8 or 10 small properties, mostly along Leopard Street, that had not signed yet. It was very small in comparison to the overall industrial districts.
So, Mr. Rivera, given that the city has not completed their annexation as of this moment, what is the appropriate motion for us to annex in advance of that final decision from the city?
What you can do at this point right now is annex everything that is at this point eligible for automatic annexation.
Okay.
If there's something comes in after that, it wouldn't be covered, in my opinion, by the order. So we'll have to see. I don't know if they've acted already. It's 4 o'clock. But, I mean, they may have already. Whatever has been acted on by the city, then we can properly include in the order of annexation. What's that?
Do you want to hold an action on this till we come out of closed session and confirm?
Yeah,
or
we can
does it
do that too.
matter? Does it matter?
Sure.
Yeah, that would work.
That would work.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yep.
If a property is already inside of a school district that is part of our taxing entity, does that include the properties that are in the industrial district? Because the school districts don't recognize industrial districts. So what my point is that most of these properties are in the Toloso Midway School District, so they're already in our taxing
That's
jurisdiction.
probably right.
So why would we need to go through this exercise?
Is that true for all of them, Mr. Strybos, you know?
We'd have to look at those individual tax records because the city is very clearly annexing them, even though they're in the city limits also. So that, but that's a question I can work with Augie on this about whether or not we need to take any specific action.
Pardon, why we
Right,
have
but what
policy?
I'm saying is that the school district was not part of the contract, so since the school district is part of our taxing jurisdiction, these properties are already paying property taxes to us.
We can have a general order that will just basically, I mean, this is a sweep order, right? We just want to make sure that there's
Yeah.
nothing left unaddressed. And we can't tell you right now that every single detailed, property doesn't have an overlap like that.
So the motion could be anything that's not already annexed into our property would be annexed with this motion. Okay,
Exactly. And that's what you all have done in the past.
right.
We have at the end of the year a sweep order that just makes sure that you pick up everything, since it's automatic.
Okay.
But we can defer on the actual action until the end of the meeting.
And you can clarify what the motion needs to be to
Yep.
make it applicable.
I can do that.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Strybos on the, because we'll wait till we come out of closed session then. All right, thank you, John.
Thank
All right. And we are going to go into closed session because the next two items do require some discussion in closed session prior to coming back out. So we'll go ahead and go into closed session under Texas Government Code 551.087 regarding economic development negotiations, Texas Code 551.071 consultation with legal counsel, and Texas Government Code 551.074A1 regarding personnel matters. And the time is 4:02 p.m. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming back from closed session at 4:41 p.m. We do have several action items coming out of closed session. Going back to agenda item number 5 regarding the annexation of property. So we are able to move forward to annex the property not already in our service district that is matching what the City of Corpus Christi action was today. Is there a motion to that effect?
Move to approve the areas that are that have been annexed by the City of Corpus Christi into our tax district.
Thank you, Mr. Loeb. There's a
Second.
second by Mr. Garza. Any discussion on that motion? Is there any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously.
We'll prepare the appropriate order. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Mr. Strybos. Item number 6, discussion and possible action relating to amended tax abatement policy with Corpus Christi Polymers. Ms. Keys, can you give us a quick overview before we go to a motion?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. 6, please. This shows the history with our work with M&G, which is took out bankruptcy in 2017 and which is now CC Polymers. We do have a request from CC Polymers for an extension of time to amend their existing tax abatement, and it relates to 2 areas within their existing amendment, which has to do with, let me get to that point, which it has to do with the failure to complete construction by December 31st of 2024, and the creation of 200 new jobs, net new jobs in July of 24. What we have before you today is a request to amend that abatement to include additional payments from $400,000, $350,000 to $250,000, and to extend the time limit for a period of 3 years for the extension of creation of jobs and completion of construction, in addition to tax payments and the ending of the tax abatement. I believe that summarizes where we are with their proposal. What we are also asking is that you approve the administration to enter into an agreement, and it would be contingent upon the county approving the same. And I'm open for questions regarding that, but I also would like to give Ms. Serena Buckholt the opportunity to come forward. She is the Chief Financial Officer of CC Polymers, just for you to say hello. Ms. Renner, sure.
Hello, good afternoon. As she said, my name is Rena Bockholt. I'm the CFO of CC Polymers, and thank you for your time today and for your consideration. I just wanted to come up here and just say thank you for considering our proposal, but I did also want to just speak not only on behalf of myself, but everybody that I work for at CCP. We are all Corpus Christians, and some, like myself, are former Del Mar students, and so really asking for your support in delaying any clawback of previous abatements, which would really significantly impair our efforts to restart construction. We're asking for 3 years. If we're successful, everybody wins. Right now, we have more than 250 jobs in our job estimate that would be created. Obviously, a larger tax base for Del Mar and other taxing jurisdictions. And also an incredibly stable commodity business in the industry that would also be supporting other businesses like Exxon and Flint Hills that would be supplying raw materials to our facility. So I just would ask that you consider this so we can hopefully get some future Del Mar students working at CCP as well. But that's it, and I'm here if you have any questions at any time.
Thank you very much for being here.
Yes.
Ms. Keys, I do have a question for you. So the request is that we extend both the 200 jobs provision as well as the completion of construction provision to January 31st, 2028. So both of those provisions would move to completion date by January 31st, 2028, correct? Or would one still be in July and
One is in July and one is in December, but it's 2027 with a due date of payment of 2028.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the payment is due, gotcha. Okay.
Within the following tax year.
So they're not the same now delivery date or the same expiration date. One would still be in July and one would be in
Yes.
December. Okay.
And that's the way it is stated in the existing agreement.
And to be clear, this is in addition to the incremental tax that is already being collected on those properties now. So this is over and above the current tax payment and other tax ad valorem payments that are already being collected.
That's correct, and that this is, the tax abatement itself ends, and this would be in addition to the taxes that would be due.
Okay. So we're asking for, based on staff recommendation, to approve the extensions as discussed including the extension of time, the pilot payments as outlined by staff, and contingent upon the approval of the amendment and extension by Nueces County as well, and for us to authorize staff to execute that agreement.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Loeb. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion on that Mr. Crewell, I'm so sorry, yes. Any discussion on that motion or the agenda item? Is there any public comment on that item? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to us, and thank you, Mr. Culberson, for sticking around with us. The last item, action item on the agenda is discussion and possible action related to designation of litigation counsel, and Dr. Babley has that motion to read, please.
I move that we authorize our general counsel, college president, and board chair to proceed with the process as outlined in closed session for the designation and engagement of litigation counsel in a pending contract manner.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Kelly. Any other discussion? Is there any public comment on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you all very much. We do have a calendar in front of us. We've talked about a little bit of it for the rest of December. The season celebration and commencement this coming Friday. Winter break starts for faculty and staff on December 19th, and they will be back in the offices on January 2nd. At this point in time, we're looking for a potential workshop meeting late in the afternoon of the 14th. Looks like that might work for Mr. Kelly. We're going to check with Dr. Turner. According to Jennifer, that works for Mr. Kelly. So Delia will be sending that around to everyone. And don't forget, the Memorial Classroom opening event is on January 21st. And we have our Community College Day on February 3rd. Our board day is on February 4th. We're moving that meeting so that a couple of us can attend the National Legislative Summit.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
think January 14th is the first day of the legislature, right?
It is.
Yeah, and the college president.
Yes, that day won't be, because
Okay.
the first few days, the
Got it.
significant, first amount of time over there till the session is fairly celebratory, that sort of thing. I'll stay away from that until things proceed. Things get further into, as things start heating up, then I'll jump in the fire with them.
And I'll be thinking of you on the banks of the Himalayas. So I won't.
So
I won't be.
you would not be available on the 14th?
Yeah,
When
I
do you
won't.
get back?
25th, I think.
Okay, so that's something to consider, Delia. All right. All right.
Dr. Babley, they have internet there. They have Wi-Fi.
Yes, yeah, they
So
do.
you can zoom. You can
That's
zoom
right.
into the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
if you like.
Might be able to zoom.
So we'll work on finding what seems to be the best calendar date for that potential workshop in January. With no further business, the board meeting is adjourned at 4:51 p.m.